the city, but I am tired of the same people, of the same things. I want to escape now to another place now, but with you, 'cause I don't want to be alone. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and
But
Pouget.
before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and it's ready to go off.
Back there, they're on board with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to the season finale of Season 4 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. We're here at the glorious Mugello circuit in Italy. One of the world's most beautiful circuits and a massive challenge to all of these GT3 drivers here. A lot of long sweeping corners tonight, a lot of undulation as well, and it's relatively new still to iRacing, so people won't have a huge amount of experience around this place. You've got myself, Chaz Draycott, and Ed May in the commentary box. Ed, one final ride this season. We've already got Season 5 to look forward to, but this is going to be a really great place to round out the championship, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly will be, and there is still everything to play for in the championships, aren't there? We've had one driver already crowned, but there are still 2 championships that could theoretically be up for contention here tonight. Obviously, you've got the Elite class, which seems like a foregone conclusion, but of course the Evo class, which has been providing so much entertainment from start to finish of this season, could have a late twist in the tail.
It absolutely could. We'll have a look at the championship standings now, and as you see, it is Luke Lucchese, after a no-show from Troy Dolenczek last time out, has a 95-point lead in the championship, and would you look at that, in the last 7 races he has not been lower than 2nd place. Fantastic form by Luke at the moment, and that is why he leads the championship. But to be fair, we don't seem to have Troy Dolenczek in the session for this evening either, which is a huge shame, and it will mean that Luke Lucchese basically inherits the win without having his teammate to battle him here. Tristan Di Nobrega is currently in 3rd, making it an RDSA Esports 1-2-3, but he's only 11 points clear of Yannis Albert, so Yannis will be wanting a good, strong finish to his campaign. Thomas Pugh going well in 5th place ahead of Ryan Ottens, only 14 points there, and then Paul Cowlishaw, Ryan Stitchbury, John McLuhan and Christophe Demay complete our Elite class standings. Ed has the Premier standings good to go for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was very excited as well, just on another note, to see that battle for 3rd in the Elite class. Yannis Albert chasing Tristan Di Nobrega. That's going to be a real treat, because we know what Yannis is like, and we know that Tristan, he's coming off the back of a win, isn't he, of the last round of racing at Imola.
Yes.
So a driver in form and a driver hungry to prove himself. Oof, that's going to be a real treat. Like you say, Chaz, on to the Premier class, and it has already been confirmed. It was confirmed actually last week, but Joe Tahara has just put an extra stamp on that by extending his advantage in the Premier class over Tristan Engelstad. We've worked out that there's about 105 points on offer for the evening per class. So if drivers are within, say, 105 points, they could theoretically jump up the order. It's very unlikely. Obviously, they'd need the drivers ahead to DNF, and they'd need to win every race, but it's still possible. Everything is in racing, as it often does happen to be so. And Tristan Engelstad, you can see him just extending a little bit over Alex Fretwell, who did have a very torrid time last time out at Imola. He is in 3rd place, but comfortably 3rd. In fact, I think that's pretty much secured, as he is over 105 points clear of Simon Cheshire in 4th place. Joe Glass just behind, 31 points back. We could see those positions invert, with James Bostock there in 6th place, chasing him down as well. Robin Aston is 7th, Marcel Breitenbach 8th, and Hussein Sarakardesla in 9th. James Rankin rounding out top 10, tied for points actually with Hussein Sarakardesla, but Hussein has that 9th place in the championship on account of his 2nd place finish being his best result of the season. James's best result is a 4th place he got at round 8. Then we have Nathan Crook and Matt Hoyland rounding out the top 12.
Thanks very much, Ed. And looking at the Evo standings, this is going to be mighty close for this evening. We have Russell Jakes and Rob Mackay going for the top honours here this evening, with John Ludbrook in 3rd position. Only 22 points between that top pairing though, and Ludbrook is then only 25 points ahead of Wesley Van Rens. Graham Matthew next up in 5th position in the Lamborghini, ahead of Alex Koenraerts, and Alex has been really on form. He may have had a DNF last time out, but his pace around the Hungaroring in particular was phenomenal, so keep an eye out for him. Gareth Newton in 7th place on 396 points, 30 ahead of Danny Weir, with Chris Keenan, one of the championship sponsors, in 9th position. James Pallett completes the top 10, with Dennis Kohler and Francois Brandet joining them on the score sheet there. We then have the Teams Championship, Ed, which also has been wrapped up.
Yes, it has. RDSA Esports taking top honours in the Teams Championship. Troy Dolenczek, Tristan Di Nobrega and Luke Lucchese, the formidable force that they always are, managed to secure the championship with 2 races to spare, ahead of Tristan Engelstad and Gianni Tahar. As a duo, they were always going to struggle against the 3 of RDSA, but they still put up a great fight to take it as long as they could. They currently hold second place, and they've got that position secured as well. Then a little bit of drama potentially between Sumo Racing Team and DXT. Sumo Racing Team in the third, just about 30 or so points ahead of DXT. However, I have noted that DXT, I think, only have one driver present this evening, and that is Rob Mackay. Both Matt Hoyland and Dennis Collock aren't currently in the practice session at this moment in time, so that could be very pivotal for Sumo Racing holding on to that third spot in the championship. Then we come to MLC 493. They currently hold 5th place. They've been able to actually get ahead of Barbecue Bread Racing only by 2 points, so the top 5 is going to be something that MLC are going to be desperate to try and cling on to in the team's championship. Then we come down to Ludcrook Racing. I mean, they are only 9 points away from 5th place, so they can have a real leap up the order if results go their way tonight. Nathan Cook and John Ludbrook behind the wheel of the 2 Porsches. Head of PTEC GP2, 3 Porsches there, currently in 8th position, just ahead of KM Racing and RLH there in 10th place.
Thanks very much, Ed. And a quick reminder as well that Ed and I will be back for Season 5 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. And this is how the calendar looks at present. On the 30th of May, literally in just a couple of weeks, they have the first pre-season race meeting at Interlagos, where they have 2 half-hour races. And then they go to Le Mans for an hour-long race. Then the season gets underway. There will be no broadcast from us on the 11th of July or the 18th of July for Daytona and Spa. And there are some rounds further on in the season as well where we may have to do an as-live broadcast based on a clash with other commitments from Ed and I. But at the end of the day, we are mighty, mighty excited to get back for Season 5. And the entire field and all of the organisers, everybody, have been great to us this season, and we look forward to being back to do it all over again. Looking at some cars at last, Ed, on the circuit, we have Christophe Demay in the Audi, actually the highest placed driver that's on the circuit at the moment, because Luke Lucchese, Tristan Di Nobrega, Ryan Ortons, Paul Cowlishaw, Yannis Albert and Thomas Pugh, they're all sat in the pits for the final moments of this practice session. But this is going to be a circuit, I think, where track limits are going to be quite important here. I was having a little look at the rules in the sim earlier on, and it seems like you can take a lot of curb in most places, but it doesn't let you get away with it if you just try and eke out that tiny bit more. It seems to be strict, very strict.
Yeah, very, very strict indeed. Christophe Demay, I think, was he one of the drivers that was on for a great result? I think he was chasing down a podium, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah.
At Imola, but then just it started to trick away from him just a little bit, so we'll be hoping for a little bit of redemption here tonight at Mugello. Wonderful, wonderful circuit this is, and a little bit about it, of course, it's just the way that the circuit sort of rises and falls, isn't it, over the course of the lap. There aren't many circuits that have that sort of degree of elevation change over the course of a lap, because it's sort of you go up, then you go down, then you go up again and down again. You see a lot of circuits, they just sort of have a rise and a fall throughout the course of a lap. It's basically similar to Catalonia, earlier on the season, where it's just basically a rise all the way through sort of the second half of the lap, and then the rest of it is pretty much all downhill until you get to turn 1.
I was just about to say 2 of my favourite corners on the circuit was the left-hander, actually, the left-right sort of chicane there, the high-speed left-right before the final corner. Biondetti 1 and Biondetti 2 turns 13 and 14 on this circuit. So difficult to get right in these cars, and with the weight transfer as well. I was actually driving a car around here earlier to set some cameras up and just get messing a little bit, and I was driving the can you believe it, the BMW M4 GT3 earlier on around here, and I can tell you that the weight transfer from one corner there to the next, and on these chicanes as well, up turns 2 and 3, then 4 and 5, even 6 and 7, and even 10 and 11, there's a lot of chicanes here. They really do upset these GT3 cars easily. You've got Poggio Secco, which is the corner that Yannis Albert is just going around now, down the straight into the chicane. This is Materazzi and Borgo San Lorenzo, these 2 corners here, 4 and 5. I've definitely not got a track map open, but this is one of the real key points of the track, because it's such a high speed sort of middle to last sector that people are going to want to get the overtaking moves done nice and early on this lap here. But I mean, it's a great circuit in itself, though, isn't it, Ed? It's quite legendary in its own right, but it's taken a while to come to iRacing, and I think they've done a great job of it, having a look around it before tonight.
Yeah, it is a wonderful circuit to drive. I have to admit, I haven't actually driven it in the sim. I've driven it on various other titles, both simulation and, of course, the arcade races of Forza and I believe on Gran Turismo as well. The circuit is wonderful to drive. Coming into one of my favourite corners, Casanova. Just the downhill right-hander followed by the quick left through Savelli. So tricky to get the balance right, especially with the setup of these cars as well. It's about just finely poising it so you're not going to be risking the car breaking traction on you through those very, very fast sweeping corners.
Yeah, definitely. It is one that demands a lot of concentration, this circuit. You see Ryan Otton's in the Porsche right now. We'll go and look at the BMW of Jean Breitenbach, the South African driver for Barbecue Bread Racing, round the final corner, over the crest. And we'll listen to the M4 roaring its way down the hill. Not quite sure what was going on with the fence, by the way, a little bit earlier on, so clearly Chaz hasn't tested all of his cameras at the right point. We'll have to maybe give that one a little bit of a nudge later on. We're Breitenbach into turn one. A very strange corner, actually, turn one, isn't it, Ed? Because a lot of the grip comes to you because the circuit obviously raises up, so the front end of the car bites in nicely. But you've still got to carry a lot of commitment into there. You've got to be brave, haven't you, to get the car to bite in the first place around that corner.
Yeah, and it's also about the different lines you can take. You can take the sort of wider line to really open out the corner and focus on the exit up the hill, carrying as much momentum, because obviously it's a lot easier to accelerate up the hill when you've already got a little bit of speed helping you along. Like you rightly mentioned, it is very tricky to sort of judge the commitment levels needed through those corners because it's so easily done. Just to overcook it, take a little bit too much speed in. We see a lot with the mid and rear engine cars that if you do overcommit into a corner, the rear will quite happily overtake the front and you'll be facing backwards going into the gravel trap.
Yeah, definitely, and people will be trying to make moves down the inside there as well. Hello to everybody in the chat. Lord of Chaos is in there. Matt Hoyland as well. Taito Nation saying new faces next season. Ian Stitchbury in there as well. He's saying the focus shifted to the Nordschleife this week, so don't have the pace to compete in Elite for the finale. He decided to sit it out to not get in the way of any title fights. Fair play, mate. Ben Gregory in the chat as well. Good to see you, Ben. Hope you're doing well. Have a look down at some of the Evo drivers. We've got Sean Clark here in the ARC Motorsports Porsche, just running a little bit wide. We then move to Wesley Van Rens in the Ferrari, and then the man that's leading the championship, Russell Jakes in the MRC 493 Porsche. He's just coming around the final corner now, actually. We'll ride on board as he goes down the start-finish straight, up over the crest. Look how scenic this track is. Absolutely glorious place to go racing. I'm gutted that I've not actually visited it in real life yet. I know a few commentators that have, and they all say it is stunning. Absolutely stunning. As right now, we have times on the board then. Cowlishaw fastest in the Elite class for the moment. 147.181 for him, ahead of John Breitenbach and Thomas Pugh. But it is actually, it's Stephen Donnelly that is quickest in the Premier class for the moment in car 130. Luke Lucchese, championship leader and champion-elect, goes to the top of the pile here in the Elite class. Gareth Newton, the quickest in his Lamborghini in the Evo class at the moment for Sumo Racing. We'll see how other guys are getting on here. We've got Ashley Brooks in the Glasstec Racing Machine, one of the championship sponsors. A quick shout out to them, by the way. Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy and AB Designs. Massive appreciation for you guys. Thank you for being a part of the series and for supporting us here on Chaz Draycott Media. Dredge in the chat as well, saying that GT3R sounds good. He loves a Porsche, does our Dredge. I'm not going to joke about whether it's rear engine or mid engine because he corrected me on it a while ago and he just reminded me of that before we went on there earlier. Thanks, Dredge. Love you. Well, we've got a few times trickling in at the moment, Ed. Nothing yet from Yannis Albert, though, so he clearly invalidated that first lap time.
I was just about to touch on it, actually, and start talking about the track limits on this circuit. And obviously, you can see there's a lot of ample runoff area through certain areas of this circuit that can really lure you into just taking a little bit too much through. And you can see, actually, Yannis is the driver that opts to take the sausage curbs. A lot of drivers, particularly in the Porsches, still well clear of them, but it seems that Yannis Albert in his Lamborghini has the confidence to take them and trust that they won't unsettle the rhythm of the car. This is the section you love, Chaz, right through the sweeping corners, left and right, and very careful to keep it on the straight and narrow. Keeps his foot pinned straight to the bottom of the floor. This one as well, easy just to overcook it, take too much speed in while slowing the car down.
Interesting, actually, he grabbed second gear. Yeah, he grabbed second gear then, and it just gave it a massive stab of engine braking. The car really rotated all of a sudden, and he had to just plant his foot straight away and go back into third gear, which is quite an interesting one. Gianni Terhar has gone fastest in the Premier class. He is champion-elect of that. Well, his teammates just battered him. Tristan Engelstad goes nearly a quarter of a second quicker in the Mercedes. That car taking a victory last time out at Imola in his class. Lovely to see the Merc rumbling around the hills of Mugello, the only one that we have in the field now. I believe it was Joe Shapara that was driving it as well. Jamal Gandor was racing in the Mercedes as well. But you can see Tristan just guiding this big old beast around the circuit in very elegant fashion, actually. Ashley Brooks has done a purple sector at the end of his lap. Is he going to go quickest in his class? No, it looks like it wasn't a valid lap time, actually, by Ashley Brooks for Glasstec Racing in the beautiful Marlborough livery. It was 30 years since the death of Ayrton Senna not too long ago, and he put this livery on for that, especially as we were racing at Imola last time out. He actually wore the Rothmans livery last time out, didn't he? He's gone back to this gorgeous Marlborough example, because I don't think he had a particularly good night when he last ran this livery, so he wants to give it a little bit more airtime. Here's Alex Koenraerts, by the way. We were talking about his tricolor design last time, and he's kept it because we're still in Italy for the final round of the season. So he's kept it for the last run. Across the line he goes. Rob Mackay with the purple sector. Does that put him top of the Evo class? Yes, it does. Rob Mackay doing what he can do early on, and there's the switch from one car to the next. DXT Motorsports machine goes to the top of Evo by just 68 thousandths of a second, 63 thousandths now in the Premier class as Gianni Terhar stays ahead of Tristan Engelstad. Joe Glass just goes third fastest for Glasstec Racing. The times are tumbling, and it's a very busy session once again, Ed.
Very busy indeed. Christophe de Myers actually managed to improve on his last lap up into P5 ahead of Thomas Pugh. Seems to be in the pits and calling it a day for qualifying. So barbecue bird racing driver currently in 6th position overall and in class isn't going to be going any further, it seems. Tristan Dino Brega trying to chase down his teammate Luke Lucchese.
Oh, it looks very good.
RDSA Sports very, very accomplished, and that was a very tidy line. The car didn't seem to react at all, did it, to sort of the unsettling curbs or the nature he was throwing the car through there. It just seemed to put up with it and carry on.
Ben Gregory asking if there's paint swaps allowed every round. Yeah, basically the drivers just run whatever livery they like. There's no set decal layer or anything, but I believe that we will be working with the organisers to potentially bring that to them next season. It's something I've worked with a lot in the past with different championships, is decal layers, so it ties everybody's liveries together and we can see what classes they're all in as well and have different coloured number boards and all sorts. It's not a given, but we will certainly work with the organisers. They've been very accommodating to us throughout Season 4, and like we say, already confirmed to be back, get your words out, Chaz, for Season 5 here on Chaz Draycott Media. Tristan Dino Brega, by the way, is only 12 thousandths off this man at the moment. Luke Lucchese is very, very close. There is not a different balance of performance per class, unfortunately, Dredge. Basically, they just stick to iRacing's own balance of performance. I don't even think it's a fixed setup either, is it, Ed? It's just everybody is on whatever setup they want to be on, basically, and the classes are all basically down to iRating. It's all on paper, isn't it?
Yes, I think the only limit is the fuel tank size that they can have on board. So obviously they are limited to the amount of fuel they can have at the start of the race, but then they are able to make a pit stop and fill it up at whatever stage of the race they deem necessary. It is basically a mandatory pit stop in both the first and second race of the evening, 2 30-minute races with a reverse grid of, I believe, 12. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chaz. Doing it long enough, we should know by now.
Yeah, Stitchbury saying it is fixed setup, so
my bad. Fixed up. Never mind.
Well, just to sweeten it, here's James Bostock, Championship admin. Give him some airtime to say sorry. It's the last round and we've forgotten that it was fixed up. Still, James has been very, like I say, accommodating to us and has been great to work with on this campaign. So we look forward to another season with him and the guys. Here's Joe Shapara in the JSD Racing Team Porsche, part of the effective Porsche Cup at the moment. The highest placed non-Porsche in the field is Yannis Albert's Lamborghini. Then it's Christophe de Meyer in the Audi. We'll show you the overall standings so you can see just how the classes mix up a little bit. But it is all the Elite class drivers at the top at the moment. It's a big mix, though, between the Elite and Evo drivers. This is Paul Cowlishaw, currently 7th fastest at the minute. But it is very, very close between the Evo guys right now, Ed. And that's exactly what we want to see. It is going to be a mighty fine evening of racing. As, oh my goodness me, would you look at that. Alex Koenraerts sets an identical time to Russell Jakes for pole position in the Evo class. 0 thousandths of a second between them. Wow, that is absolutely mega.
That's astonishing, that is. I guess, because Russell Jake set his time first. He is the driver who holds on to pole position, provisionally at least, in the Evo class. That is... How often do you see that?
That's
Flipping egg.
remarkable.
That just shows the fine margins at play in the Evo class that we've been seeing all season long. Perfectly demonstrated there by the two drivers, Russell Jakes and Alex Konrads.
Excellent, excellent stuff right at the top end of that order as well. Here is Graham Matthew. He's just making his way into the pit lane. It's 2 half-hour races tonight, and those half-hour races do include a mandatory pit stop as well. So the drivers will have to practice their pit lane entries and exits. They'll have to make sure they do not overdo it at all, because that's the way to lose a race as well, is get it all wrong in the pits. Let's have a look at a Ferrari, shall we? Because we were supposed to have 2 out there tonight. This man, Wesley Van Rens, and the Welsh driver, Ian Stitchbury, who has, and as mentioned in the chat, decided to sit this one out. But Wesley Van Rens' Scuderia Pantheria car looking absolutely resplendent in these colours. He was straight out the gate at the start of the championship, Ed, with 2 wins, like we've said. He's not quite been on the pace since then, but he's still right amongst the guys when it comes to the finishing order. It's just his qualifying has let him down a little bit.
Yeah, it is a shame. It's not quite been the season that he was hoping for. I mean, for Wesley as well, he got off to such a great start to the season. You mentioned, I think, Chaz, that he had the double victory, didn't he? At Interlagos. And then all of a sudden, it's just sort of fallen away from him. He did manage to get 2 podiums, though, at the last round at Imola. So it seems that the Ferrari seems to do well at its home circuit. So maybe it'll be a little bit more trips to the podium for Wesley Van Rens before the end of the season. So you'll need to make up some ground. 25 points to get up into top 3 of the Evo class.
It does sound like a dishwasher with a broken V6 inside of it, though. It does sound awful. Rob Mackay has just gone fastest, actually, in the Evo class as well. He's moved up ahead of Russell Jakes, and he needs to do that for the championship, so important stuff for Rob Mackay. A great effort there. Is there an improvement from Wesley Van Rens as he crosses the line? No, there is not. James Bostock also finishing a lap and coming into the pits.
And what an advantage for Rob Mackay as well, because if the race was to basically, the first race was to finish as they qualified, he would be in prime position for that reverse grid, because he's currently 12th overall. So
Yes,
it does
indeed.
bode very well for Rob Mackay if he can continue on that sort of pace into the race. He could be laughing all the way to the top step of the podium.
Sean Breitenbach's car there, clearly performing as BMWs do when they have a tyre blowout. That's what it feels like to drive on Michelin run flats, I imagine, to be fair. Looks like me on the M6 when my wheel bearing's gone. And then I do that when I get on the drive when I come home. Sean Breitenbach's he's just enjoying himself. We'll go on board. Hope you don't get motion sick, everybody. Jean's just having fun. He's decided that his qualifying's done, and I think he knows now that Sean, because we don't have Jamal Gandor around to fill the sort of the quiet bit at the end of the session anymore. He knows that someone has to take on the honour of entertaining us while the timer closes down. So he's just decided to don't pop back to the pits, Jean. Oh, Jean. I was hoping that he could maybe hear us and that he was one of these drivers that, to be fair, some of the drivers we commentate on, Ed, they are bonkers, aren't they? Because they race with the broadcast on, don't they? And they listen. I mean, you do it and all, don't you?
I thought that was what you were saying.
Yeah. No, you are just as bonkers, mate, because you do it.
I do. I have been known to do that on numerous times, both in qualifying and also in the race. I do remember a few times in the Sim Race Magazine GT4 Challenge, the first season that I was taking part in, having the stream on, and as soon as he was sort of flipping up to me, and I'd be like, oh, there we go, I should be on
Flash
there.
the lights.
Flash the headlights, flash the lights, say hello, give them a wave.
And then crash.
You
never did that, actually.
I didn't.
No.
I was quite well behaved, I think.
I remember, actually, it happened in the real world as well. I was commentating on the Sports 2000 Championships here in the UK, and there's a driver called Clive Hayes, one of the top people at MCR, and lovely bloke is Clive, fantastic lad, great driver, and I remember we were commentating just on the PA, so obviously I think at Brands Hatch it was on the radio as well, though. There was a certain radio frequency you could tune into it on, and he was driving around the circuit with the radio on, with the commentary in his ear, so he knew what was going on in the race. And I went down to speak to him and interview him after the race, because I think he got a class podium or something. And he was like, oh, I know exactly what you said. I made some jokes about him along the way. And then he said, oh, I know exactly what you've been saying about me the whole race. I've had you in my ear. And I was thinking, are you mad? Like, surely that's a huge distraction. But I suppose it's not going to be much different to having, like, a race engineer in your ear, is it? Because you have a full-on conversation with them rather than it just be a one-way street.
Yeah, and to be fair, the commentators are usually in a better position, don't they? Sort of raised up above the race circuit to sort of see a little bit more of what's going on. So it could be quite beneficial for a driver to have that, and especially the picture of the whole race. They can know what their rivals are doing and maybe adjust their race accordingly. So that is an interesting thing that maybe a few more drivers need to try and figure out how to do, is get the sort of commentary feed into their ears.
Absolutely. So we look back from the Ferrari of Wesley van Rens for one more run across the line. Never mind, he heard me. Straight into the pits he goes. Practice entrance for him. And that will be the end of qualifying for the Ferrari. It does sound awful, doesn't it? The 296 does sound awful. Ryan Ottens will start the race third on the grid by the look of it as well. He had a really solid qualifying there, and we were saying this about Ryan last time out, weren't we? At Imola, his pace towards the end of the season has really come alive. He's been a great character to have near the front of the order, and he has been challenging the RDSA Esports boys as well.
Yeah, he has been. He's been great to see and watch, especially over the course, like you say, of the season, his development and as a driver to try and take the fight to RDSA Esports. Again, it's the South Africans that seem to be doing so well in this championship, and must be something about driving GT3 cars that just seems to work for him, because it's been a really wonderful sort of campaign for them all. There's Yannis Alba, you can see him just trying to creep up into the podium places, but he does need to get a bit of a shift on, doesn't he? He needs to try and get the better of Tristan Dinner-Brager here tonight if Yannis wants any hope of getting that third place in the championship.
Yeah, definitely. There's still a bit to race for. We've got a full warm-up lap here by the look of it then before we get things underway for the penultimate round of the season, which is going to be round 15 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. And hello to Jake Darling in the YouTube chat. John as well saying I might try it on a less important race. I'm not quite sure what that was in reference to. Oh, maybe the listening to the broadcast while he's driving. Dredge saying the wrong arrangement of 6 cylinders, and the only time I'll say flat is better. And Taito saying I'd be up there in the Evo battle. So, be interested to see what you can do with that. If I assume you're joining us next season, Taito. So, the calm before the storm, everybody. We'll have a look at the grid, shall we? It'd be great if we actually did our jobs up here in the broadcast booth. Let's have Ann Ganders, shall we? Luke Lucchese starts on pole position with his teammate Tristan Dinner-Brager alongside him, the two South Africans on the front row, with Ryan Ottens in third place. Yannis Albert in the Lamborghini next up, but he's a few tenths off based on qualifying performance. Christophe Demay will start in fifth place with Thomas Pugh alongside him. Then we have Paul Cowlishaw and Gianni Terhaar starting on the fourth row of the grid. The newly crowned Premier Class champion doing a great job in qualifying there. He's ahead of John Breitenbach from the Elite Class, with Tristan Engelstad rounding out the top 10 in the Mercedes. Then it's Joe Glass alongside Rob Mackay. Fantastic qualifying from Rob to be top of the Evo class. He needs that to get ahead of Russell Jakes, especially in the race. Jack Wyborn next up in 13th alongside Stephen Donnelly for JSD Racing Team. Then it's Scott Kostrick and Russell Jakes on row 8. Alex Koenraerts is next with Hussein Saraka Desler in 18th position. Gareth Newton and Robin Aston complete our top 20 drivers. Then it's James Bostock and Graham Matthew on the 11th row of the grid. Joe Shapara and James Rankin will line up on row 12. Next up is John Ludbrook and Danny Weir for DXT Motorsports Academy. Then it's Chris Keenan, one of the championship sponsors, alongside Wesley van Rens in the Ferrari. Then it's Simon Cheshire in 29th place and Alex Boniface who complete our 30 cars, with Sean Clark, Ian Stitchbury and Ashley Brooks at the back. But Ian will not be taken to the start of the race, so Ashley Brooks will inherit 32nd place. So the field making its way around this gorgeous circuit here, Ed. One final blast of the sprint race format here, so 2 races tonight. What do you think our drivers can expect from this one?
Well, hopefully cool heads, because this is the first of 2 races here tonight, and your performance in race 1 can have a big impact on where you'll find yourself starting in race 2. So hopefully the drivers take it easy and just try and get a feel for things before really going at it in the final chance to score big points this season. Well,
they make their way around this gorgeous scenery. There is your Elite Class leader, then your Premier Class leader Gianni Terha in the Porsche, and then Rob Mackay, not too far back at all. You can see the number plate on the car, SM17 Earth. There's been a lot of joking around some of the drivers in that class being Smurfs for this season based on how fast they are compared to their I rating. For those that don't know, your I rating is basically a 4-digit number that assesses your overall sort of performance level, your pace, so to speak. And it's not always the most accurate thing in the world. I mean, mine's over 2,000 and it definitely shouldn't be. But there's a few drivers in here that, you know, they may not do many official races. It's only ever affected by iRacing's official scheduled racing. So if you don't do any of those and you only race in leagues, then your I rating will probably not reflect the pace that you're at. But to be fair, Ed, a lot of people say, don't they, that league racing is the only way to go racing in iRacing at the moment, because it's just so much fun and so well organised in so many ways that you're racing the same people each week as well, and there's more of a community feel behind it, isn't there?
It really is, and it's great to have that, like you say, the community aspect behind it, because everyone is, by and large, really lovely, I think, in this community, and they were talking about it actually in the Discord earlier before the race, that there was a sort of a real feel-good vibe about the final round of the championship. Everyone being very friendly, a bit of, you know, joking back and forth, as there often is in these iRacing communities, but it was all very friendly, and there wasn't any sort of nastiness to it, which is always what you love to see in these communities, and it's why I'm very glad to be a part of, because if you're part of a community where everyone's miserable and not having a good time, it's just
like really most of mine.
Not really worth being a part of. And a lot of these drivers do, well, they're doing it all in their free time, so it makes sense that you're going to be spending your free time in places where you enjoy it and you get that energy given back to you.
You definitely do. Ben Gregory asking what the I rating gaps are, and to be fair, I remember seeing it. I was looking at this in the rules earlier, and I cannot remember it off the top of my head, unfortunately. Ben, we will come back to that though. We'll dig that one out, mate, and we'll come back to that. I think there's a couple of thousand between each class. So, last day of school, says White Van Gaming. Good to see you, Ben. Hope you're well, mate. Great to have you on board tonight. Safety car comes around the final corner here at Mugello. It's the first time we've broadcasted an event from this circuit here on Chaz Draycott Media, and I'm sure that this is going to be an absolute blast of a race. Round 15 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship from the gorgeous hills of Mugello is, wait for it, at Luke Lucchese's discretion anyway, underway. And what a great start by Ryan Otton's on the right hand side of the grid. He goes with Luke and gets up into second place straight off the bat in front of Tristan Dino Brega. Christophe Demay hangs it round the outside now to take a bit of space. Yannis Albert looking down the inside as well. There's three wide there as well, with John Brayton back poking his nose down the inside in the BMW. Looks like Rob Mackay under pressure already, actually. I think Alex Koenraerts wants a piece of that too. He's got Scott Kostrick's Porsche just in front of him. Koenraerts is going to be trying to take advantage where he possibly can. Where is Russell Jakes in all of this? Here he is. He's got a little bit of daylight between himself and Stephen Donnelly just in front. Stephen in a different class. He doesn't need to worry about him yet. But what a great start from Lucchese. Dino Brega back in front of Ryan Ottens.
Yeah, when did that happen? And Dino Brega getting ahead of Ryan Ottens. I mean, it looked like it was a great start for Ryan there, but it just didn't quite pan out for him. As Tristan Engelstad now, look at the run he gets, but unfortunately the second corner comes up a little bit too quickly, and that's the slot in behind. But at the moment it is a quad dash 1-2, and they could be ending the season as they, well, often spent most of the season, wasn't it, 1 and 2 in the Premier class, those two quad dash racing drivers.
Yep, doing great things all season. As I'm afraid Alex Koenraerts, after bigging him up so much earlier, the tricolor has not worked. He's had a slip up and he's off at the side of the road. Tomorrow better, says the car. I'm not sure if he's going to have had help to get there, but it's on the inside line. He was having a battle here with, who was that? That's the number 17 machine of Rob Mackay. That was for the class lead as well. Oh, dearie me. Everybody doing a great job behind to avoid him. But not sure if that was Rob not leaving the room or Alex going a little bit late there. It was maybe 6 of one and half a dozen the other, but we'd have to have a look a little bit later on. First lap in the books then. We look here at Yannis Albert in 4th position in the Lamborghini. 5.2 litre V10 powering that, and the car behind, which is the Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2 of Christophe Demay. And, well, they both look and sound absolutely stunning, but it's for sure not been the car to be in at both ends this season, unfortunately. Definitely been the Porsche. There's 2 more Lamborghinis behind, though, sort of proving my point wrong, which is Paul Cowlishaw chasing down Thomas Pugh. Excuse me. No. It's go to the correct camera, shall we, Chaz? That's the barbecue bread racing machine just in front. Gianni Terhar is not far back as well in the Porsche. But this is such a tiptoey bit of the circuit, isn't it, Ed? You've got to be so careful around all of this section just to get onto the latter half of the lap.
Yeah, although for me, I don't think it's Lamborghini, Audi, Lamborghini. I think it's just 4 Audis together there, Chaz, to be honest. They're basically the same car, aren't they?
Yes, yeah.
Just with a different sort of outer shell to them, it's fair to say. And I think a slight different gearbox, but that's kind of it, really.
Yeah, one's just a bit more pointy, isn't it, than the others. As Christophe Demay almost looks like he was coming under pressure a little bit from Thomas Pugh for just a sec there. It's close back here. Russell Jakes. Now, he's got Joe Shapara behind him. Joe is in the Premier class, the sort of middle class, so to speak. And Russell is in the Evo class, the one below. He wants to go chasing Rob Mackay, but on paper, Joe will be a little bit quicker and putting him under pressure. He's also got his teammate Stephen Donnelly ahead, and closing up on the brakes like that is not going to do Russell Jakes a lot of good when it comes to confidence in the car behind him. Joe clearly running slightly different lines here and does have a pace advantage. Russell might back out of this one and let him go just for the sake of his own championship. Brakes a little bit early. Joe sends it down the inside. Good stuff. Nice tidy move. He's going to now try and tag onto the back of his teammate Stephen Donnelly. But there is your class leader, Rob Mackay. It's not going to be enough to win him the championship at this stage, I don't think, Ed. But at the end of the day, if he can do everything right from his side, then he's got nothing else to worry about this evening. I don't think he's just... Well, he can be happy with that, let's just say.
Yeah, he just has to maximise the results as best he can. I hope that Chaz has a bit of a misstep somewhere, but obviously for Russell, he can know that 2 second places should be enough for him.
Yes.
For the championship here tonight. So again, no incentive to take any unnecessary risk, I think it's fair to say. It's often times drivers, they're cool heads that start the race don't often finish the race, do they?
No.
Things can happen during the course of a race that can cause a little bit of edge to the affair. So we'll see exactly if they're going to be playing as nice as they appear to be doing for now.
Yeah, everyone keeping it tidy at this moment. There's been a moment for Danny Weir, unfortunately, in the Audi. He's dropped down the order. And Russell Jakes is again under pressure, but this time, frustratingly for him, it's Gareth Newton that is putting him under said pressure. And Gareth is actually in his class as well, so there would be points changed here if Russell Jakes gets overtaken by the Lamborghini. Out at the front, though, Luke Lucchese continues to lead the field with Tristan Dinabrega in second position. Jake Darling asked, what headphones do you use? This headset is a Audio-Technica BPHS1 broadcast headset, an XLR microphone headset, so if you use one you do need to get an audio mixer to plug it into, an XLR mixer, but I absolutely love it. It's almost like an industry standard headset. You find a lot of places that people tend to use them all around the world. They are amazing bits of kit, and I would always recommend them, simply just for the microphone. I'm not too bothered about the sound quality. It's not the bassiest, it's not the clearest, but at the end of the day, it does the job for the mic itself. It's very worth it. Hell of a microphone. Anyway, Gianni Terhar carries on in the lead of the Premier class, and it's just another Gianni-type drive, isn't it, at the moment, Ed? He's kept it really tidy at the start, not taking any risks, and he's ahead even of one of the elite class drivers, Jean Breitenbach.
Yeah, he's very accomplished with how he's driving at the moment, and gonna have to see, of course, if it continues on the way it has done for most of the season. Following Jean Breitenbach and chasing down Gianni. But that is pretty much the reason why Gianni is the champion with a few rounds to spare, wasn't it? Because his consistency. Well, he had that little blip mid-season. His consistency over the course of the season and his constant presence on the top step of that Premier Class podium. It's been really tricky for everyone else to try and get the better of. There are times where Tristan Ingolstad looked to be the more on-form driver, but incidents and just a little bit of inconsistency, I think, is what's really set the two of them apart more than anything else, Chaz.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the thing, in a championship like this where there's such a fantastic spread of talent and so many great people to race with, you have to be consistent, because you never know. I mean, we've seen drivers that have had certain races where they've just not shone as much as they have in other places, and you have to be there to take advantage of that on the night, don't you, as a driver? You have to be in it to win it, for sure. but there's certain drivers that they may not have expected to do well at certain tracks and then gone and absolutely battered it, as Jean Breitenbach now actually has overtaken Gianni Terha in the BMW, roaring its way very well in ugly fashion down towards turn 1. But Jean, to be fair, just here to get points tonight. He's been enjoying himself. Himself and Marcel have both really been having a good time in this championship. They've not been able to do every single round, but when they haven't, they've been in the YouTube chat and supporting us here at Chaz Draycott Media. And it's been lovely to have their support. Also lovely to have the support of the championship sponsors, Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy and AB Designs. Again, we really appreciate each of you for supporting the series and for supporting us. Ryan Ottens then, holding on in 3rd place at the moment. I love this section of the circuit, Ed. It's so scary, but it's so brilliant at the same time. It is a roller coaster, this place, isn't it?
Yeah, again, the uphills are a little bit more comforting because it compresses the car down. It's the downhills, like this one here, where you do worry that the rear end is going to try and just break away from you that little bit. And especially in these Porsches, as soon as it goes, it's very difficult to recover just because of the natural weight tendency of the car, as Joe Sparrow needs to rejoin safely. He's got a huge gaggle of cars just barreling on past. Let's have a look. Is it a case of that weight transfer a little bit too much into the corner? Yep, and then he tries to recover it, but then he gets a second stab at it where it just again breaks away.
Yeah, he tries to loop it round on the grass as well, and the car doesn't sort of over-rotate like he wanted it to. There was a good gap in the traffic for him, though, to return, so it's all okay, but he's just lost a bunch of places from it. The guy right in front of him, actually, is Alex Koenraerts, who's also lost spots. Jack Wyborn is off the road and on the apex of the final corner. You don't want to reverse there, Jack, really. What you want to do is go forward and right. Not that. Not quite that, Jack. Yeah, you want to go on the grass and then just start to join down the start-finish straight, I'd say. But he does get on with it. Plenty of room given there by drivers going around the outside. We'll figure out how Jack ended up in that place. Let's see. Might be the same again, though, Ed. We see the Porsche losing the rear end a lot on the downshifts, don't we, on the brakes?
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
just seem to break away from drivers at any opportunity it can get, and then once more you can just see.
Oh no!
It's another occasion where it just breaks away. Oh, Sean Breitenbach. You were following him earlier, and all of a sudden it's just gone undone for him. And it seems to be pretty much the story of a season is that he can have a decent start to the race, but then it's one little moment, and it just comes. Oh, that's really disappointing as well. It's just a touch on the grass, I think, that sends him around, and it's so easily done. It's a small mistake, but with a big impact.
I don't even think he touched the grass, you know. I think it was just the curb. I think he simply just had enough of that right rear on the curb that, it's just gone down again on the downshift. And that's one of the things with these GT3 cars, you know. The diff sometimes feels like your worst enemy in a GT3 car, because you can either have it oversteery as hell on the throttle or oversteery as hell on the brakes, and they don't tend to always do the thing that you want at every single corner. We look back here from Ryan Ottens in the Alpha 1 Esports Porsche. He has got the very slippery and very spiky Yanis Albert Tsuma Racing Lamborghini just behind him, screaming up through the gears right now in this glorious sounding race car. Just listen to that. Epic noise. Yanis closing in a little bit in a straight line, but it's definitely not the Lamborghini's strength, is the straight line speed. He closes in a little bit on the brakes as well, actually, doing really well mid-corner. I'm afraid there's been another drama. Jack Wyborn and Sean Clark this time coming together. Jack has got a tiny bit out of shape. Oh, then more out of shape. Oh, and more out of shape. And off into the wall. Now, where does Sean Clark come in? Oh, Sean's had a similar incident in a different part of the circuit. It seems as reverses across the chicane, but I suppose he knows there's no cars coming. Interesting timing that, almost like in sympathy but from distance. Long distance relationship.
That's a interesting one to say the least, but here we go. Ryan Ottens.
Yanis, chill.
Really hungry for that podium, but he knows that the podium it won't be enough. He needs to get the better of Tristan at Dinner Breaker just up the road. And what strategies could he pull if he isn't able to get ahead of Ryan Ottens? Does he opt potentially for a slightly earlier pit stop? Again, it is the time where we expect the drivers to be making their pit stops at around about the halfway point of the race. It is where we tend to see a majority of the action in the pit lane, but for now, Draycott seemingly carrying on without needing a stop in the pits just yet.
There's been an issue for Stephen Donnelly, I'm afraid, in the JSD Racing Porsche. See what he's had go on here. Again, coming down the hill, he's clipped the curb. Is the car out of shape? No, but is it there? Yes. Back end went around a little bit. Oh, just as it comes off the curb. Look at how easy it is to upset that Porsche and bang into the barrier hard. And that is going to have done a lot of damage to the front of that car. Great little trio going on here, actually. We've got Simon Cheshire in the MLC 495 Porsche ahead of Joe Shapara and Alex Koenraerts in there as well. Now, these front two are Premier class drivers. Alex Koenraerts an Evo class driver below them, so Alex doesn't need to do anything and prove a point to get any points here as Shapara peels off into the pit lane out of flying formation. Matt Hoyland saying he's more nervous watching this Evo battle than he is when he's taking part because his teammate Rob Mackay leads this at the moment, 3.3 seconds over Russell Jakes. We'll have to get confirmation of the championship points when they come together at the end of this one, Ed, but Rob's doing everything right at this moment, isn't he? He's doing a great job.
Doing as much as he can do, but it's just seemingly Russell Jack's doing everything that he needs to as well, and Russell has got James Bostock and Robin Aston right in behind. You can see how close those two Premier class drivers are, right up his gearbox, but for now doesn't seem to be any real immediate threat to his position. And even if he does give those places up, he's still got a little bit of a gap to John Ludbrook in behind. So for now, it seems pretty smooth sailing for Russell Jakes, despite the fact that his championship rival is leading at this stage of the race.
Yeah, he's doing as much damage limitation as he can do at this point, so he'll be happy with that at least. We look here at Ashley Brooks, who's got Graham Matthews' Lamborghini behind him, but we look at Ashley because he is the biggest mover in the field so far. 15 positions gained for Ashley. Chris Keenan just up the road has gained 10. John Ludbrook has also gained 10. Thomas Pugh, by the way, into the pit lane now in the Lamborghini. There's another car coming in behind. I think that's Russell. No, it's not Russell Jakes, is it? Who is that? It's Jack Wyborn, actually, coming in. I forgot Russell Jakes is in the sort of teal and purple livery this time round, isn't it? Or isn't he? There he is, flying past said pit lane. James Bostock not too far behind, then Robin Aston, but he's, as you said, Ed, not really under any pressure at the moment. And there's some drivers here just making it to the halfway point, and there's a big bunch of drivers making it past the halfway point, which could be interesting, but I feel once they put the fuel in, they're able to make it to the end, aren't they? It's just that the setup loads into the session with not enough fuel to get right to the end of the race.
Yes, so they can basically fill the tanks up at any stage, and that should see them okay until the checkered flag, but they rightly mentioned oftentimes the drivers try and last as long as they can on the fuel that they get given with before coming into the pits later on. It just helps with the calculations and also gives you an idea of where you're going to come out in terms of the battles that you'll find yourself a part of, and also potentially keeps you out of any slower cars that are yet to pit. For now though, Luke Lucchese doesn't need to worry about any slower cars than him because he's got a clear path up ahead of him. In the lead of this race is Robin Aston. Hearing me, what's happened there to him again? Is that going to be another Porsche potentially losing its traction on the way through this right-hander?
It will be. Watch on the downshift. No, it's just touched the curb. Wow.
I think there's a bit of column A and column B there. The curb helped, but he did look like he was taking a little bit too much in the steering lock. Certainly unsettled it.
Mad, isn't it, how sensitive that Porsche seems to be. The pit lane comes alive. Luke Lucchese, Tristan Dinobrega, Ryan Ottens, Yannis Albert, Christophe de Mai, Paul Cowlishaw and Tristan Engelstad coming in. Interestingly though, Gianni Terha has carried on and inherited the overall lead of the race.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Strange one that for Gianni to do that. I'm not quite sure what he aims to gain from that. I mean, you know, one lap, sure, a bit less fuel in the tank and a shorter pit stop when it comes to it, but he doesn't need to prove any point here. He doesn't need to win by a bigger margin or anything. He was already in front of his teammate Tristan Engelstad, so I think maybe just playing the game at the moment is Gianni Terha. Great stuff though, to go that extra lap longer. Not easy to fuel save around here because there's a lot of places that require acceleration by the bucketful.
Yeah, they really are. So it's going to be up to Gianni to nurse the car back into the pit lane and Just look after the race more than anything else. Yeah, both GT3 and Simon Cheshire have carried on and not needed another pit. It's, again, close, isn't it, between Rob Mackay and Scott Kostrick. Scott looking all the way around the outside. Scott, again, in a different class to Rob, so there's no real need to fight this position as much as Rob is doing. But, again, wants to try and keep as many cars between himself and also Drake as possible. And I think Rob's been able to sort that position out.
He has indeed, yeah. We've got Christophe Demay off the road. Christophe is the unluckiest driver in the series, I have to say. I don't think we've seen anybody with as much bad luck as Christophe this season, to be honest. Jan Stitch saying Gianni's just bored, he wanted the stream time. Yeah, probably. Probably is. Gianni's a fantastic character. It's that curb, Ed. They need to stay away from that curb. That is nightmare fuel, that curb. Let's go on the left rear and just see. How much does it affect this left rear? Does it lift it up a lot? Because I think it's lifting it up a lot.
Oof.
I don't know. It seems flat.
I think he straddles it, though. He goes over the curb. He hits the sort of curb, but then also goes over it where the car then sort of compresses and then bottoms out a bit and then has to recompress. And that sort of jumping at the rear is, I think, what sends it into the spin.
I just want to listen to this, to be honest with you. Gianni Terhar in the Porsche 911 992 GT3R. Glorious sounding race car. He's going to fly up through the gears now. Feast your ears on this. And he returns onto the circuit in the race lead of his class anyway. 8th place outright, just where he started, and he has a 1 second gap over his teammate Tristan Engelstad, who also has Joe Glass for company. Joe's had a pretty solid start to the race. He now runs in 3rd position, hoping to chase down that beefy old Mercedes.
Yeah, but also another thing to think about is the overall finishing position of the drivers and how that affects the second race, because at the moment Rob Mackay is going to be on the front row of the grid for the second race.
Yeah.
All the while, Russell Jacques is going to be missing out, isn't he? Russell Jacques is going to be missing out in that 13th place spot. So he really needs to try and get a shift on and potentially get up ahead of Scott Kostrick, who is currently occupying that 12th place for the reverse grid.
Yeah, so the top 12 get completely reversed for the second running of the night, with no questions asked based on the first race result. It's done by the sim, so whether there's penalties or anything to be applied from race 1 for the top 12, it doesn't change where they start on the grid. The race is imminently afterwards. It's not like they've got a whole afternoon for the stewards to make their minds up on anything. But Scott Kostrick currently holds that 12th position, so it's going to be important for him to maintain it and get pole position for race 2. Jean Breitenbach carrying on despite his earlier drama, as, oh no, I'm afraid Ashley Brooks has been smoked here, Ed. Something's happened.
Oh, the curb. Ooh, big impact over the curb there, and that's probably done a huge amount of damage to the floor, and it's actually taken him out of the race completely.
Yeah, he disappears back to the pits, which is a big, big shame. Here's a battle going on. This is Alex Koenraerts and Simon Cheshire. It doesn't need to happen. Simon won't be too pleased with that one. A little bit more contact on the exit as well, as, oh, that looked a little bit too naughty for me from Simon. He moves over to the right. He's not giving him the room on the right-hand side there. They don't need to be doing this, boys. They're in separate classes. A little bit of retaliation there maybe, but you've still got to be able to at least give full racing room. Alex probably didn't need to send it down the inside like he did, and Simon was making it very clear that he wasn't happy with that manoeuvre, to say the least. Understandably, we don't provoke, well, we don't, condone retaliation or anything, but, they're not giving each other enough room here, and Simon, unfortunately, I think out of frustration, went back down the inside and then bounced off the Porsche in front. That was a little bit messy, that. We don't like that.
Yeah, a little bit clumsy, I think, is the best way to put it, wasn't it? It wasn't quite the measured driving that we're used to seeing in this championship. But again, it's the final round of the championship. A lot of drivers do sort of try moves out of desperation more than anything else, and that sometimes where we see a little bit of messiness creep in. Don't forget, they've been trying to do a lot of effort over the course of the season. Great racing. It's only understandable that sometimes when you get to the end of a season is that the fatigue is set in and you're not quite as measured as you are, say, at the start of the season.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, like I say, initially it was just a bit of frustration from Simon there. He got unnecessarily hit by Koenraerts, who was trying to force a move on a car and a class above him as well in the race. And then Simon, I think, was just trying to repay the favour. And thanks to the latest version of iRacing's damage model, it's often the car that's behind that bounces off the one in front, which isn't usually how it is in the real world. iRacing's contact has usually been pretty solid. But recently it's very much been the car on the inside that's the one that bounces off. And, you know, not that we ever wish for anybody to have a spin or an accident, but when it does come about, you'd hope it was as realistic as it can be, as, Simon Cheshire has now had another drama here. Oh, no, apparently not. It's only just come up on the timing screen for some reason, but there he is down the inside. I mean, he was on the white line as well, so, yeah, he was far enough down the inside for my eyes, but it's down to the stewards, not us, so we'll leave that one there. We look here at James Rankin in the CHR Motorsport machine. 7 places gained for him at the moment. 9 places gained for John Ludbrook in front of him. Where's Nathan Crook when you need him? We need Nathan Crook to be sending it down the inside with the ultimate confidence that he has on the brakes here of sending it on people and you know, proper getting his elbows out a bit. But John Ludbrook, the only Ludcrook racing car out there for this evening. It's been a move here as Sean Breitenbach goes around Gareth Newton. 2 different classes though. Sean just recovering up through the order.
Right, Sumo Racing doing all they need to do, isn't it, to try and get 3rd place in the team's championship. They just need to eventually score a decent number of points, and they will do so with Yannis Alder and Paul Kalishaw both inside the top 5 to try and secure that 3rd spot.
Well, we continue on here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship from Mugello. It's been a wonderful race so far, and it is still led by not Luke Lucchese. What? Tristan Dinabrega is ahead of Luke Lucchese. This is the thing, we bank on these guys just flying in formation so consistently throughout the whole race that we never really check in. Was there a moment for Luke? Yes. Where on earth are you going, mate? Well, Luke Lucchese has a slight chink in the armour for a moment there, Ed, as Tristan Dinabrega goes through.
Didn't we see that last time out at Imola as well? It was in the second to last lap where Luke Lucchese had 1 minor lapse of concentration, a mistake that allowed his teammate to go past him to the lead of the race. And while Luke Lucchese is going to finish this race and basically be crowned champion, that is potentially a sign of things to work on for next season.
Yeah, it was down at Rivazza, wasn't it? Just went in a little bit too hard into that left-hander, and the car did not want to play ball. Now, important news is that Scott Kostrick is under pressure from Russell Jakes. Russell could potentially grab pole position for race 2 here, not just in the Evo class, but in overall positions, and he will put himself next to Rob Mackay on the front row of the grid. The only thing is, series admin James Bostock is behind him as well, so there's certainly going to be a great old battle here in the last minutes for that pole position in race 2. P12, Ian Stitchbury starting Gravelgate in the YouTube chat, saying it was a planned lapse of concentration, he reckons, from Luke Lucchese. Tristan's been a fantastic team player this season, though. They all have, to be honest. RDSA have just been absolutely top draw. But look at these guys now pushing the track limits, to say the least. Russell Jakes over the curbs this way and that way. And he's trying what he can to stick with the Porsche in front. Let's see what the slipstream's like down here, Ed, because I think he's going to get quite a good helping of it here, isn't he, to say the least?
Certainly will do. He's obviously maximised the most of the exit as well, and while they close in, you can also see the car ahead of him is closing in, so it doesn't quite work out in Russell's favour massively to be able to overtake Scott Kostrick, because while he's going to be able to get the slipstream on Scott himself is getting the slipstream on Rob Mackay. So Russell needs to try and be a little bit creative in these final 3.5 minutes if he's to try and get onto that reverse grid pole position.
You can see very different lines being run by a bunch of these guys here. It's clear that the pressure is on the 5 Porsches, but it's Rob Mackay leading this little group at the minute with, well, I was going to say not relative ease, but he's certainly leading it and looking comfortable. He looks more comfortable than the guys behind anyway. Russell Jakes making a little bit of a mistake here and there, and Scott Kostrick has suddenly opened up that gap again as James Bostock now wants a piece of it as well. Who's saying Saraka Desler in there too, actually, in car 108. So it's 2 PTEC GP2 Porsches that are right behind Russell. But he and Rob have been great all season. Fantastic battle. Great respect between the two of them as well. You know, they've always congratulated each other and spoken about each other in interviews in such an endearing way. It's been a lovely, lovely battle. Matt Hoyland saying a quick snippet of DXT team radio for you. Are you on the reverse grid, Rob? Rob responds, shut up. So, yeah. Are you on for the reverse grid, Rob? He says. And Rob returns, shut up. Very Raikkonen-esque of him. They swing their way around the final corner now, and Kostrick gets the run. Looking very, very good, actually, into the slipstream here. This could be, well, funnily enough, promoting Rob Mackay to pole position in race 2. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone can leave him alone. Certainly, he's not going to be left alone now. Does he know what to do into turn 1? Hold on, not quite.
Oh,
Ooh, I thought he was leaving the door open. But Scott getting so close to the rear end of Rob Mackay. Again, it's not something that you want to see in these closing stages because it could be potentially championship defining. And we've already had these two drivers say that this is not how they want the championship to be concluded, is it? They want it to be done on the road against one another. And that's an extra worry if ever there was going to be one. It's all seemingly conspiring against these drivers on ice can't finish. It's just everything's kicking off. Anything that could go wrong has been going wrong.
Well, it's great damage limitation by Russell Jakes at the moment. He can happily sit there, actually, just behind Scott Kostrick. Even if Saraka Desler and James Bostock got past him, those two have swapped places, by the way. If they do get past him, then it's not really going to matter in terms of his championship points. The two RDSA Esports Porsches just making their way around the final corner now. It's Tristan Dino Brega ahead of Luke Lucchese for first and second, and then Ryan Otton's just behind them in the Alpha 1 Esports Porsche. Yannis Albert in fourth place. They're all now heading on to the final lap of round 15 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. We move back to this though, because Rob Mackay, well, he is very, very close to taking a second place on the grid for race 2, but also taking another class victory here. He's just got one more lap to keep it on the island. John Ludbrook has got James Rankin right behind him. This is Evo class, Premier class, Elite class, so going up in ascending order of iRating. John trying to hang it around the outside. Ooh, a little bit of netcode there, tiny bit of contact between the two, but there definitely shouldn't have been contact. John Breitenbach taking advantage in the BMW there, Ed, and getting on by, but we need to look at this because Kostrick is all over Mackay.
Really is all over the back of him as much as he can be. And now, actually, it seems like Rob's going to be trying to actually look to go more on the defensive, and Scott Kostrick's really trying to get past now. But again, this is it now for Russell Jakes. A big mistake for Scott Kostrick, just running wide, and that's gifted the position to Russell Jakes. So we will have the two, potentially we will have the two championship protagonists in the Evo class on the front row for the final race of the season.
You could not write this stuff. I'm not sure how much of a playwright Scott Kostrick is, but I tell you what, he's certainly just, well, he's paid for the ink, hasn't he? He's absolutely paid for the ink there and printed it all out for him. Amazing stuff. But speaking of amazing though, RDSA are about to do it one more time, and importantly, that is going to all but confirm that Luke Lucchese is the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 champion of Season 4. Dino Brega wins at Mugello, but the number 224 machine is champion for Season 4. Brilliant stuff.
Really, that was big moment there in the championship, potentially going away in the Evo class. But Gianni Taha, he's going to take yet another race victory and already adds to his impressive tally so far this season. He's won, let's work it out now, I think close to, I think it's that his 9th race victory of the season. Could he make it 10 with one more?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but look at this. Rob Mackay wins round 15 in the Evo class, just in front of championship protagonist Russell Jakes, and the two of them will start the second race of the night on the front row of the grid. That is remarkable stuff. Ludbrook gets a podium in 3rd position in that class, but wow, oh wow. These Evo drivers are not making tonight easy for anyone, let alone themselves. Great racing though. Absolutely great racing. Well done to Tristan Dinobrega for taking the overall win. And well done to Luke Lucchese, who takes the championship title here with one race left to go. You can argue about how much easier it was without his teammate Troy Dolinshek here, who was definitely a favourite for the standings, but wow. Great race though, Ed, and Mugello is not disappointed. Can't wait to do it again in a minute.
Oof, yeah, terrific conclusion to the first race of the evening. But like you say, there is still one more to go. There are the standings.
I'll get the right ones.
There we go, we'll try and get it out.
Hey up. Tristan Dinobrega takes the race victory then, 0.2 of a second over his teammate Luke Lucchese, who is the champion of Season 4. Very well done to Luke. We'll speak to him in a little bit. Ryan Ottens finishes in 3rd position, another great podium for him, ahead of Yanis Albert and Paul Cowlishaw, the two teammates doing what they can do to stay ahead of DXT in the Teams Championship. Next up was Christophe Demay in 6th position, with Thomas Pugh and his teammate Jean Breitenbach in 7th and 8th. Ryan Stitchbury did not take the start of the race. We've had word as well that the gap is 17 points between the Evo guys. Thanks very much, Matt Hoyland. But in the meantime, Ed, why don't you take it away with the Premier class?
Thank you very much, Chaz. And yes, Jean Terhar with his 9th race victory of the season, looking to make it double digits before the evening is concluded. But Tristan Ingolstad in behind him is going to make it very difficult for him in the second race. Tristan does finish in behind his teammate and make it yet another quad dash 1 and 2. Don't quite have the stats for how many times that is, but I can tell you it's just definitely more than the one time we've seen tonight, and we could see it yet again before the end of the evening. Joe Glass there on the podium for Glasstech Racing. Great understated drive from him. Nice and measured indeed. Scott Kostrick there in 4th place ahead of Hussein Sarakar-Desla. James Bostock ahead of James Rankin. Again, the two Jameses finishing basically line astern of one another. Something about those two. They always seem to have a great rapport with one another, both on and off the track, and it gives us some great racing. Joe Sparrow, though, in 8th place, just behind them, ahead of Robin Aston, Simon Cheshire, Stephen Donnelly, and Jack Wyborn finishing 11th and 12th.
Thank you very much, Ed. We move on to, last but not least, the Evo class. Rob Mackay winning by just 0.2 of a second in the end over Russell Jakes, with John Ludbrook finishing in 3rd position. Gareth Newton finished in 4th, with Chris Keenan in 5th position. Graham Matthew was next up, with Wesley Van Rens in 7th. Danny Weir was next for DXT Motorsports Academy, and Alex Boniface in 9th. Next up was Sean Clark, who completed the top 10, and then Alex Koenraerts and Ashley Brooks did not finish the race. So it's a little bit quiet out on the circuit now, Ed. The warm-up is apparently on. There's only one car sat in the pit lane, which is Chris Keenan, so nobody about at this moment in time. I believe it's a 5-minute warm-up session, or even just 3 minutes. Not sure if you can confirm for us.
I believe it is 5 minutes of warm-up for the drivers, and they've had around about
just less than 3, yeah. Well, Ed and I are very quickly going to just quickly grab a drink, everybody. Bear with us 2 minutes, and we'll be right back with you for the final round of the season. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the final race of the season here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. We have a newly crowned champion in the form of Luke Lucchese, who just took second place in that penultimate race a moment ago. And we have warm-up just coming to a close right now. Now we're just going to get the grid formed up for the very final race of the season here on Chaz Draycott Media. It's been a hell of a ride, and we cannot wait to get this last one underway. A full lap here of the circuit, but it's just our top 12 from race 1 that will be reversed on the grid. But would you look at that? We cannot make this up. Russell Jakes and Rob Mackay going head-to-head for the Evo class title tonight with just 17 points between them will start on the very front row of the grid. They're going to be so nervous right now because they have to survive this race with all of the Premier class and the Elite class drivers trying to come through. They've got Joe Glass and Tristan Engelstad on row 2. They had a fantastic battle in that first race. Gianni Terhar, the Premier Class champion, starts 5th with Thomas Pugh in the barbecue bread racing Lamborghini alongside him. Then it's Christophe Demay in the Audi and Paul Cowlishaw's Lamborghini. Yanis Albert and Ryan Ottens complete the top 10. Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dina Brega are next up. And then following them on the grid is basically everybody in the finishing order that they were in last time out. Great action from that first race of the night though, Ed. It was really, really good to watch. Now the nerves are on for these guys at the front of the pack, aren't they?
Definitely, and I think it's more so Rob than Russell. I think for Russell's sake, he knows that the nearest gap to basically third place, where he'll start to lose more points to Rob if he does drop back, is around about, 15 cars? He's got a lot of positions that he can afford to give up. Whereas Rob, he has to win his class and hope that something happens to Russell. Russell can just afford to take no risks, have a pretty comfortable race of things, and still be champion. But it's very difficult to have a comfortable race when you are, flung up to the front of the field with so many quick drivers right in behind you, hungry for the race win.
And this man has just won the title outright. This is Luke Lucchese. He's just become the overall Evolution Sim Racing GT3 champion for Season 4. They do say they don't have an overall champion, to be fair, so he's the Elite class champion anyway, and very well deserved. He and his teammates have been absolute superstars all season, and I'm sure that we'll have them again in Season 5, and they will certainly set the benchmark for all the drivers around them. You can see the two Sumo Racing Lamborghinis just in front there, actually, of Paul Cowlishaw and Yanis Albert. They remain side by side on, well, actually a join of the 4th and 5th rows of the grid. It's just that based on how the grid is moving at the moment, there is nothing between them. Here is Graham Matthew in the KM Racing Lamborghini Huracan. He's a bit further down the order in 23rd place outright, but right in the thick of it here. Plenty of cars to look at around him. And if I'm honest, Ed, the race, actually, the first race before, looked a lot more spread out than it felt, if that makes sense. It looked like it was a bit barren of cars at certain points on the track, because this place is so big.
Yeah, very, very big, very wide, and obviously the field did seemingly spread out quite a bit over the course of that first race. But with the taken up first sort of third of the grid, does mean that we might see a little bit more congestion and action now on the field, especially being that this is the final race of the season, the last chance for drivers to score points and improve on their championship position. So it is, like you say, couldn't have written it any other way. Both Russell Jakes and Rob Mackay leading the field, taking full effect of the limelight for this final race of the season.
It's a mighty long lap here as well behind the safety car at Mugello. You've got to think that the drivers would have been hoping for just a short run to the flag, or at least to the lights anyway, to get the race started. Just looked out the window and I can't believe that it's still daylight here in the UK at the moment. It's 9:15 at night and it's still light outside. It's just remarkable. But still, there's going to be no daylight between these boys once this gets underway. They're going to throw everything at each other. But to reiterate, Rob Mackay needs to win the class, and he needs Russell below P3. So Russell Jakes, who we look at here, could finish 15th outright as long as he's second or even third from, well, third in class, I should say. He will be the Evo class champion. Beautiful looking field there. You can see the 131 just ruining the symmetry a little bit, Joe. Just pop in, sunshine. It's like trying to get a family photo, isn't it? And just trying to fit everybody in. Ian Stitchbury says, bring back standing starts from Season 2. Oh, goodness me. Not quite sure about that, mate. Taito Nation saying, let's go, Rob. And Matt Hoyland saying, coffee time. Team manager business is exhausting. So, in an almost emotional stance, for the final time this season, here on Chaz Draycott Media, we're here to tell you that round 16 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship from Mugello, as a few drivers try and get a naughty little run at the discretion of our pole sitter, is underway, and Russell Jakes bolts away from the line, and Rob Mackay is going to lose out slightly here. He's 3 wide with Tristan Engelstad and Joe Glass. He's going to be in the middle, and he's got to play it safe here. Joe's down the inside, Tristan's around the outside. Everybody piling into turn 1, but Russell Jakes pulls a blinder off the start. Oh, Rob runs a little bit wide there, but keeps it nicely tucked in eventually. Tristan Engelstad slots in behind him. Let's see if they all keep it tidy through here, Ed, because these chicanes are nightmare fuel on lap 1 sometimes. Looks like everybody's done a really good job of that. But Russell Jakes, what a start that is. That's exactly what he needs to do.
A wonderful start to the race from Russell. That was probably his dream getaway. Nice and clean, while also getting a car between himself and his main championship rival. But once more, can afford to let Joe Glass through, because that is not fourth class position. The only positions he really needs to worry about is John Ludbrook all the way down in 19th, and then Gareth Newton all the way down in 21st. So,
oh no, you're not going to believe this.
Have a regular starters. Oh dear, what's happened here, Chaz?
2 cars that are off are the only Audis in the field.
Oh no.
Christoph de Meij and Danny Weir there, just once again showing us that the Audi is a pig to drive, as it always has been. Those two both off on the first lap, unfortunately.
Not the start for the race that they were hoping for whatsoever.
What do you do here if you're Russell Jakes, by the way, Ed? Because Joe Glass clearly quicker on even just this first lap. We've only had half a lap to see it. Joe clearly has the pace advantage over him at the moment. Do you let him go and have Rob right behind you just in case? Because, I mean, he can still win the championship with him sat there.
I wouldn't say you'd let him go. What I would probably recommend is that you, obviously, if he goes for the move on the inside, not fight it. But you don't need to fall off the circuit just to let him pass again. You can maybe make a little bit of a defensive action, but there, look, if he goes up the inside again, you don't find it. Oh, that was a little
Rob.
bit opportunistic by Rob.
He's still
going. Rob realised it was a little bit too eager and sort of backed out of it. But again, just filled the mirrors of Russell to let him know he was there. But Russell did that perfectly. Saw that Joe was committing to the inside and then decided, you know what, fine, you can have it. And it's potentially a bit strategic here by Rob, letting some of the faster cars through to again give an opportunity to pick up the pieces when they inevitably get the pace up and pass Russell just up the road.
I'm going to argue with you on that one there, Ed. He put himself on a compromised line into the first of the chicanes, and since then hasn't been able to slot back into a favoured line on the circuit. So he's lost a bunch of places to Thomas Pugh and to Paul Cowlishaw. Hussein Saraka Desler is off the road and back on. Graham Matthew and Jack Wyborn are also off the circuit as well. Jack's incident-filled season continues to be filled with incidents, funnily enough. Luke Lucchese just sent it on Gianni Terhar, but Russell Jakes has been overtaken by Joe Glass now for the race lead. Joe is starting to break away as well. That means that Russell's not going to be fighting. He's got Thomas Pugh's Lamborghini in 3rd place. Rob Mackay has been overtaken by Yanis Albert. He's not going to be too upset with that at the moment, is Rob, but he could do with Russell getting caught up in some dramas here. We'd never wish it on our competitors and on our rivals, of course, but it's going to be difficult here for Rob, I'm afraid, to completely hold on to this. We'll have to see. Russell is now 4 cars up the road, but you know that Rob's going to give it a good go. He's not going to give up, as a lot of the guys dive into the pits for early pit stops.
Several cars coming into the pits now, and we've got both the quad dash cars, Tristan Engelstad and Gianni Terhar. You can see their cars pretty much side by side, or nose to tail, aren't they, in the pit lane? Difficult to spot where your pit box is. I think it was actually Gianni that was going a bit more further to the left, trying to spot it right in behind his teammate. And coming to a standstill. Oh, they got underway.
There's a bit of smoke in the background, not quite sure what that's all about. Not sure if someone's had a bit of a drama in the background there on pit entry or something. As we have the Lamborghini Club together, Thomas Pugh, Paul Cowlishaw and Yannis Albert, a 5.2 litre V10 Appreciation Society. God, it sounds good. Pops and bangs quite a bit as well, does the Lamborghini here on iRacing. You get a little bit more of a pop and crackle from the thing. As they go up over the crest once again, through the long right-hander at turn 9, into Scarperia, which is turn 10 and 11, Pelagio, a little chicane. Love that part of the circuit. I always remember on the old Forza Motorsport games, I was always quite good at that particular section in the prototypes. I don't know why, just was. But Yannis Albert, well, he's trying to do what he can do to get ahead of his two main class rivals at this point, because let's not forget that's first and second in the Evo class in front of him, sorry, the Elite class, Thomas Pugh and Paul Cowlishaw. Tristan Dino Brega is not too far back, just 2 cars behind, and then a bunch of the other guys have all pitted so far. You'll see that on the left-hand side now. Ryan Otton's the highest placed driver of those that has pitted in this present moment. But now, another pit stop coming in from Tristan Dino Brega. Yannis flashing the lights at his teammate here, Ed, to say, get out of the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was potentially a message to get out of the way, or just to let him know that he's going to be making the move up the inside. You always see that closing speed and you worry just a little if there's going to be a coming together, but thankfully it's just the commitment that the drivers have to take into turn 1 that makes it look, I think, a little bit more edgy and dramatic than it usually is. And now here we go, Rob McKay with a little bit of a run here on Russell, but just can't quite find the overlap to make the moves properly stick. But this is the battle that we will be focusing on for pretty much the majority of this race, isn't it, Chaz? I think this championship fight between Russell Jack and Rob McKay. You can see Robbie's fighting the car just to try and get it to stay with him, because that corner is so tricky in these Porsches. It's been the undoing of many a driver, but particularly those piloting the Porsche here tonight.
There's been a bit of movement further down. Hussein Sarakadesler's just had a bit of a drama before he comes back up the hill. There's Wesley Van Ren's going down his inside. But yeah, the battle at the front sure is exciting. We've got the Elite class drivers here. Lamborghini's 1, 2 and 3 in the Elite class. Can you imagine if it finished that way? There'd be uproar. Constant uproar. That'd be unbelievable. But yes, it is. The only championship now that is undecided for the top spot anyway is the Evo class, and it is Russell Jakes and Rob McKay. Thomas Pugh and Yannis Albert having a good old ding-dong as well. We'll go on the left rear of the Lamborghini because, I mean, it's not like we need an excuse. Listen to it. Joe Glass 1.7 seconds up the road ahead of these guys. Paul Cowlishaw now right up behind his teammate. Don't bump draft him, Paul, because that's a very low-slung front end you have on that car and a very high rear end on Yannis's car. Although I think he might have actually given him a bit of a kiss there, and Yannis with his awfully coloured wheels sends it down the inside. Oh, maybe a bit of a touch with Thomas Pugh there. I think they got away with that. He springs off the side of the Springbok-laden car. And the barbecue bread racing machine now, funnily enough, is the car in the middle of the sandwich. It's Christophe Demay, unfortunately, just been taken by Premier Class driver Stephen Donnelly in the Porsche. Not quite sure what's happened to Christophe there, but it seems like the Audi still a pig to drive. Sean Clark has had an issue, I'm afraid, Ed.
This into the final corner. Ooh, it's again the weight transfer on the downhill. Not playing ball whatsoever. He does well to get onto the brakes to try and arrest the slide as best he can. Come back to live shots following Thomas Pugh. So in the midst of these 3 Lamborghinis that are currently leading the Elite class. But Joe Glass, he's having a great time with things, isn't he, up in the lead of the race, and hasn't really been having to worry about too much of a challenge. He has been getting caught by Yannis in the past few laps, but by the looks of things, hasn't been caught too quickly. Only a couple of tenths, tenth and a half every other lap.
Yeah, you could say that Glass has broken away. He's done a really good job though as Joe at the moment. Like I say, he took that lead early on from Russell Jakes. He knew that he needed to get the move done. He didn't want to sit behind him and, you know, step on eggshells around him the whole time. He wanted to get on with it in this lovely sort of JPS branded livery. The Glasstec cars have looked good all season, to be honest. Joe now making his way around the first corner, long, smooth right-hander. He won't worry about it too much if Yannis Albert tries to make a move and come through, because he knows, like most of them do, that they're all in different classes. Good battle going on here, by the way. Chris Keenan just in front of Simon Cheshire and Stephen Donnelly. Christophe Demay in there as well. All fans of black and green cars, as you can tell. As Donnelly moves over to the right, but Demay is still sat there. And actually, Demay is going to go around the outside of him to make that stick. That's brilliant stuff by Christophe Demay. They're in different classes, so it doesn't really mean a massive amount, but the Audi looking good in that sector in particular. The car had fantastic weight transfer for just a sec, so suddenly there is downforce on the back end of it. He's got a run now on Simon Cheshire as well. He makes a little mistake. Simon goes all the way over to the right-hand side of the road. Demay says no thank you then. Oh, finds Simon going slowly on the apex. And he's side by side with Donnelly once again. Gets the run. Please don't spin it here, Christophe, because this would look absolutely awful. Yannis Albert has taken the lead of the race, by the way. He's got ahead of Joe Glass down the inside, and Cowlishaw has got ahead of Thomas Pugh, so plenty to catch up on here, Ed.
Yeah, there's been a huge amount of action all of a sudden. Here we go. This was Cowlishaw just trying to get the better of Thomas Pugh, and it was up the inside.
Lovely.
I think it was a case of Thomas Pugh realising that was a battle not really worth fighting, and then this was Yannis Albert trying to chase down and then get the better of Joe Glass. There we go. Quite a long ways back as well, not into the heaviest of braking zones, but
Joe
you
leaves
could tell
room.
that Joe saw it
Yeah.
a long way coming. Saw it coming from a long way away.
Yeah, good stuff that by Joe Glass as well. Really great respect. He sort of knew that Yannis was going to go for it at some point, and he said, after you, mate. Alex Boniface had a drama here. I think he's going to clip this curb that we've seen a number of drivers touch before. Either that or the car's just going to get away with him on that inside curb. No, maybe this one up the hill. Oh, that looked like an aggressive turn in. No? What on earth's happened here? Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I think Alex tried to pull over and then has bopped it into the wall, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh no, Demay and Cheshire are off the road. Oh, Cheshire was defending very hard earlier on. We saw a little bit of contact in the earlier race from him, defending quite aggressively. Let's see what's happened here.
Let's have a little look at just exactly what happened. Christophe Demay go all the way around the outside, and it's just the cars get stuck together almost, don't they? You can see they're both trying to turn right, but cars just want to go left for whatever reason.
Yeah, it sounded like a very unfair assumption there on Simon Cheshire, by the way. I do apologise, but he just understeered wide into turn one. He just defended the inside line. Demay had a really good run, and Simon just a little bit too hot. Doesn't even come far away from the curb, to be fair. It's just once they locked together, that was that. It's a real shame to see it. We've got this battle still going on then for the Evo Championship. Russell Jakes and Rob Mackay, and look who's back to play with them once again, Ed. It's Joe Shapara wanting a piece of the action from both of these guys. He's going to be fed up of looking at the back of these two Porsches. He's thinking, have you two not just kissed and made up yet? Have you not had this championship fight sorted out? And they're going to think, why is that massive green thing behind us yet again? I'm sure he was in a Mercedes and then a BMW and then a different Porsche and then a BMW and then a Mercedes and a Porsche again. But Joe Shapara, despite not changing cars that many times, is certainly there. He's definitely filling the mirrors of these boys. And oh, into the pits first comes Rob Mackay. Interesting.
Now, I think that's the fact that he can see that there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing, and potentially Russell could be held up at some point with all of those faster cars in around him. So he decides the best course of action is to go for the undercut, get some clearer track, and then just see that hopefully lap times with no one around him will be faster than the lap times of Russell with the drivers around him. So we will see if that pays off or not, because let's not forget Russell, while he will be obviously in the midst of the faster drivers, that does also mean he could be getting some slipstream from them as well. So it's all about just trying to decide what is the best and worst option. As make sure you take the best option of rejoining Hussein, and he does so, which is good to see.
Yes, just a little spin there by the look of it around the first little chicane of the lap. Rob Mackay had an 11.9 second pit stop and is back underway now. He's got Gianni Terhar just in front, Tristan Engelstad just behind, so he's in good company at the minute. But I was just looking at Yannis Albert a moment ago, and it looked like he hit a landmine on the inside of that chicane for just a moment, clipped the sausage curb. But you picked up on that earlier on, didn't you, Ed? The fact that he likes the sausage curb, does Yannis? Oh, for God's sake. I feel so sorry for Christophe Demay. There's been a number of times this season where he's explained that he's not really been... he's not been hugely enjoying himself this season, not based on complete driving standards, but just based on the fact the car wasn't behaving for him. I'm not sure who that was he was trying to go down the inside of there, but I don't think that was on, to be fair. He just tried to find a gap because he had different speed. It was Simon Cheshire in the 146 car. I don't necessarily think there was anything that Simon did wrong there. You don't really expect to have someone go down the inside that time. But yeah, unfortunately, it's been a tough season for Christophe de Meyer, and we do look forward to hopefully having him back for season 5, because he's had a rough ride, and we keep our fingers crossed that next season for him is better.
Yeah, fingers crossed, obviously, for him, that we will see him in potentially better spirits for next time. Obviously, it's a good chance for a complete clean slate. It's again, we're really attacking the curves, but it's a good chance, isn't it, for a clean slate from a new season for Christophe if he decides to join us for the next season's worth of racing. Obviously, I believe we have had, I think, a full sign-up of the drivers, I believe, Chaz. I think we have been
yes, I believe
fully
they
registered.
do. Yeah, they do have a full grid. I mean, at the start of the season, how many cars did we have? 51? Something ridiculous like that?
Silly, yeah. So, I mean, when we first started, we thought, what have we gotten ourselves into? 50 new drivers to try and remember and figure out, and liveries and everything on a circuit as mad and bonkers as Interlagos.
My
really
graphics
us in at the deep end.
I was going to say my graphics card thought the same, to be fair, as well. It was thinking, what are you doing to me?
Oh, God.
Poor little RTX 2070 working its backside off, and still continues to as well, touch wood. Tristan Engelstad and Rob Mackay had a little bit of a position swap just a couple of corners ago, and Rob is not having any of it. He's got Russell Jakes up the road now by just 9/10 of a second, so it's hardly like the gap has extended, but Russell could easily just ease off the gas a bit now, let the lap time slip slightly for the next 13 minutes. They've got, flipping heck, I don't know how long back to John Ludbrook yet, because John's just about to come into the pits, and we'll see the official gap between them as he makes his way in. Yannis Albert, race leader, on his way. Be good for Yannis to take a victory at the end of the season, wouldn't it, really? He's another one that's had a lot of bad luck this season, a lot of strange moments, a lot of awfully coloured wheels. But I'm hoping that for him, he can have a good race out of this last one. Ryan Otton's coming around the final corner, by the way. Pitted earlier, a lot earlier, on lap 1. He could actually inherit the race lead here, and so too could Dino Brega and Luke Lucchese. Let's see.
So look, Yannis Albert is making his way out onto the road. You can just see him up ahead, but the overspeed from Ryan Ottens is going to see him into the lead of the race, ahead of the Lamborghini of Yannis Albert. What a great strategy call by Ryan Ottens to come into the pits when he did, right at the start of the race. Saw him with clearer track, and the lap times he was able to be put in, we didn't really register it, and I don't think Yannis did either, which is what caught him out, and sees Ryan now into the lead of the race. And could this be Ryan's first ever race victory here this season, right at the final round of asking?
It's always a beautiful story when you get a driver's first win in the last round of the championship. It just installs colossal confidence. I think, wasn't it, Mika Hakkinen won his first race at the end of 1997 and then come back to 1998 and 99. He then went on to win the title twice. I'm not quite saying that's how it's going to go for Ryan Ottens, but you know what I mean? It's just, it can spark off such great confidence for you to come back the next season full of it and just ready to go, you know? It really inspires you for the next championship to come along. So yeah, it'd be a lovely story that to see Ryan Ottens get the win. It'd be also great to see Yannis get another victory as well, because of how hard a season he's had. But it would also not surprise me to see one of the RDSA esports guys take a victory as well, and it'd be very fitting considering the domination that they've had of this championship here in Season 4. But Tristan Engelstad right now, following the Evo class leaders and hoping to maybe not disturb them too much. A quick shout out to our sponsors, by the way, AB Designs, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy and Kame. Really do appreciate having you guys on board to support the series, and thanks again to the admins for having us on. It's been brilliant fun, and we of course will be back for Season 5 as well. 11.5 minutes left to go here, Ed, and the battles are very much on for the race lead.
Absolutely are. Here we go. Ryan Ottens and Yannis Albert battling away. But for now, Ryan lives to fight yet another corner. Well, I think it's a case of Yannis really hungry for a race victory that has been not really too common of an occurrence for him. The driver of his quality, you would expect to see him on the top step more often than not, but I think this would only be his second race victory if he's able to get it sealed. His third.
Yeah, I think third win of the season, wouldn't it? Yeah, and I think both of those have come in sprint rounds as well, haven't they, in the 30-minute rounds. He hasn't won an endurance race this season as Yanis. But he's got those 2 Porsches breathing down his neck as well, so he's not out of the woods yet. He's still got 10.5 minutes left to go with the RDSA Esports Porsches filling the mirrors. Tristan Di Nobrega and then Luke Lucchese. Ooh, bit of a blink in and out there from Yanis. We've seen a tiny bit of that this season. Hopefully that is the last we see of that. But Joe Glass just behind this lot as well, leading in the Premier class. Paul Cowlishaw and Thomas Pugh behind him on the road, but in the Elite class. So Joe's still doing everything right at this point. Wesley Van Rens and Gareth Newton close together here. Lamborghini versus Ferrari. Gareth Newton 23rd outright. Wesley Van Rens 22nd outright. Good maths. You can see just how much the curbs really do upset the cars, you know. There was somebody in the chat earlier mentioned that this is one of the only circuits now in the world that actually has 3D curbs, so maybe it does upset the cars a little bit.
Maybe it's just the case.
Oh, like that!
Oh, flipping heck! That was as if on cue.
That was
spooky, Chaz.
Oh, now, yeah, we always say that Ed has got the most powerful commentator's curse ever, because you can say someone's name and they'll, I don't know, fall off a ladder or something. But Wesley Van Rens, what on earth? Oh, tiny bit of gravel. Oh, and that's a big hit as well. It may be a mid-engine car, but that is a big old bonk into the wall, that. Paul Cowlishaw just getting past Joe Glass there, by the way. Just making his way through in the Lamborghini. Joe doesn't need to worry about that too much because he still leads the Premier class.
Yeah, and meanwhile, in the Evo class, we do have still Russell Jacques and Rob Mackay on the same bit of track together, as per usual, as has been the story pretty much all night long. It is still Russell up ahead of Rob, and we know that Russell wants to round out the season and take the championship with a class victory. It does feel all the more sweeter when you do take the championship as a race victor. You stand on the top step of the podium for more than just the championship reason, but also for taking it in the best possible fashion. For Joe Glass, he's going to be looking to try and take the best possible result here in his class, isn't he? Just up ahead of Joe Spiro, who's actually a little ways away, so it seems comfortable for Joe Glass at this moment in time. Giant Hart appears to have to, just at this stage, settle for 9 race victories, not able to make it double digits.
No, not quite. Not quite at this point, but still, there's been some epic drives by these boys, and there's been some real standout drivers all season, you know, and to be fair, there's been unsung heroes as well. There's been a lot of drivers that have sat under the radar for the whole campaign. It's been a bit of a queue go on here, actually. Gianni Terhar has been overtaken by a couple of these guys, strangely. Gianni Terhar got overtaken by, Rob Mackay, and then actually got overtaken back again. So these guys are fighting back at the moment in the Evo class, but it's Russell Jakes that continues to lead it and is in a championship winning position at this moment. Says, whoa, Gianni has a look down the inside for a moment there. Gianni and his teammate, they're both lovely blokes. I'm sure they'll be as respectful as they can be to these Evo drivers, but they will want to get past still, won't they?
Absolutely. Gianni can see that even if it's slim, a possible chance at another race victory, and he's going to try everything in his power to seize it. Big hit over the curve there. You can just see the confidence he has through the corners, but then has to check up to not go into the back of Rob Mackay, so all of that hard work just undone a little. But now you can really see Gianni trying to work the space and get around Rob, who's actually in, I think, watching, trying to run anything else, just dropping back away, isn't he?
Yeah.
Little by little from Russell up ahead of him, and probably needs to let Gianni pass.
Oh no.
But again, all of this is just slowing him down.
Yeah, this is the thing. Russell Jakes has now disappeared off their words. 1.3 seconds up the road now, and Gianni Terhar and Tristan Engelstad are actually having an inter-team battle. And look who's getting closer as well this whole time. John Ludbrook, 3rd place in the Evo class at the moment, Ed. He can see these guys only 1.7 seconds up the road or so. So he's not really too far out of the picture here. He could also be a spoiler in this. There's still 6 minutes of this race left. That's a wonderful move by Gianni Terhar. He's just mugged his own teammate off there as they now belt their way down the start-finish straight once again. side by side, Mercedes and Porsche.
So actually, I think Tristan is trying to get ahead, isn't it, of Gianni? And Tristan looks to me like he's going to be able to get the inside line, and all of that squabbling around from Gianni with Rob has seemingly been his undoing. And now, Tahar, can he have the... Oh, he does have the confidence to hang it around the outside on his teammate. I suppose that's the benefit of racing with your teammate, is you know exactly how they race, and you know that they're not really going to try and bin you off.
Oh, no. Whoa.
Oh, speaking of binned off, that's Tristan Dinnebrega.
Yeah, Tristan Dinnebrega in the wall hard down the hill. What on earth has caused that? He's chasing down Yannis Albert. It was only his second race win of the season just earlier from Tristan Dinnebrega. Down the inside. Oh, just runs a little bit wide and hooks across the front of the Lamborghini. That is a big, big shame.
Yeah, and I think if you look at it from Yannis's point of view, there isn't really anything that Yannis could do to take evasive action. You can see that he gives the space on the inside, realises that his run is compromised, tries to squeeze a little bit, then realises, no, I'm just going to take the best possible line, and then the slightest of touches, but that's just enough to pitch around the very sensitive Porsche.
It's going to be even more sensitive now. It's in touring spec with the rear wing gone. But wow, what a busy race this has been. Russell Jakes has been thrown a lifeline by these guys battling behind him. I say a lifeline like he needed one. He was happy to finish where he is. He could have finished right behind Rob Mackay. He would have been happy there as well. But it's great to see that this championship has gone so close down to the wire. There's a lot of points on offer in this series as well. You know, there's some big numbers floating around when it comes to the championship points, but the gaps are still tiny until the very end. Ryan Ottens continues to lead this race, by the way, in the Porsche. Doing a brilliant job for Alpha 1 Esports. Yannis Albert still second. Luke Lucchese now the car behind him in third. The newly crowned champion of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship for RDSA Esports. And then behind them, Tristan Dinnebrega is in a fight with Paul Cowlishaw and Joe Glass, but this slightly hindered Porsche not looking as resplendent as it did earlier on. Joe Glass's car looking brilliant though, and to be fair, so's his race. Leading his class in the Premier Division. And oh no, Paul, what a save. What a save that is by Paul Cowlishaw. You do not often save a mid-engine car like the Lamborghini Huracan when it goes like that. Wow, great effort.
Very
no!
Flipping egg. Great evasive action. But yeah, that's Tristan Dinnebrega struggling with that rear wing. Well, lack of rear wing. Well, thankfully, he doesn't get caught up in this fight, which is obviously for the Evo class victory.
Ooh.
Running wide. It's all kicking off. Now look at this. John Ludbrook fancying a move. Does Dinnebrega realise that he doesn't have a rear wing? I mean, he must do after that spin.
I'm so frightened. Tristan Dinnebrega had a hell of a moment there, and like you say, had great evasive action from the drivers behind, but whoa, that was squeaky bum time there for the Evo Championship protagonists in particular. 2.5 minutes left to go, then there will be this lap and then one more. Is anybody going to struggle on fuel? That's going to be the next question. These guys put in as little as possible so they don't get hindered by a longer pit stop, as Yannis Albert goes head-to-head with Luke Lucchese. And oh, Luke has mugged him at turn one. I'm so sorry, Yannis. But Luke, well, you can see that Yannis went in a little bit hot anyway, to be fair to him. But yeah, that was... I was going to say naughty, but it's not actually naughty. But that was just gorgeous by Luke Lucchese. You can see he moves over to the left-hand side. He hopes to really open the corner up. And Yannis goes very late on the brakes, and Luke just says, yep, all right, I'm going to just trail brake. And that is delightful from the newly crowned champion. That's a champion's move, that.
Very, very nice. Very measured drive, but it's been measured as well from our race leader.
Christ.
Oh, my word. Tristan's really in the thick of it now, isn't he?
Yeah.
I swear he doesn't realise that rear wing's broken.
It might not be at his end, that's the thing. Sometimes the cosmetic damage doesn't perfectly sort of reiterate from one car to the next over the sim, so yeah, I'm not really sure what his feelings will be from inside the car, but James Bostock flashing the lights at him, that's not the guy that you want behind when you're having contact this way and that way, and I think Tristan's realised that something is wrong and maybe is backing off now. He's out of the way at least of James Rankin. Oh, is he going to move? I don't know. Robin Aston and Stephen Donnelly are going to be next to come through if they do. He's still fighting it. He's still pushing the car. I mean, He's doing everything he can. He needs to think about championship points, I suppose, to Yanis Albert, doesn't he? So he does have something to think about here and something to fight for.
He really does, yeah, he does. And he can't afford to lose out too much more. He's got Jean Brayton back in behind the Barbecue Bread Racing BMW. That's going to be more points going in favour of Yanis Albert. Flipping heck, this has been a very dramatic final race of the season, and I think we are onto the final lap of the final race of the season with this man, Ryan Ottens.
We absolutely are. Ryan Otten's doing everything right now. He's played the strategy card here. He pulled in on lap 1, put enough fuel in the car to get to the end, and it's been a brilliant, brilliant drive from the South African. He's certainly doing everything right as, Rob Mackay, I'm afraid, has been overtaken by Gianni Terhar and Tristan Engelstad, so any hope of a sort of final lap move from Rob to unsettle Russell Jakes may have just gone out of the window. The two of them have had a fantastic battle all season long, though. They've been mighty respectful of one another. They do want to do a joint interview at the end, which I think will be fantastic. We'll speak to the pair of them at the same time, and we'll ask them both questions on how their season's been and how they found tonight. But Ryan Ottens, well, we were talking at the top of the broadcast about how great he's been, Ed, and this is going to really cement his status within this championship.
Absolutely will. It's been a great season so far for Ryan Ottens, and he's really come on strength to strength, like we mentioned, in those final few rounds of the season. I think Catalonia was where a lot of drivers, and us as well in the comments box, really stood up and took notice of him. And from there, he's just been a driver that's a matter of when, not if, he was to take the race victory, and it turns out it's the final race of the season.
It's a fairy tale for Ryan Ottens. He comes round the final corner, crosses the line and wins round 16 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship ahead of Luc Lucchese and Yanis Albert. Very well done to them. And Joe Glass is going to come round the final corner, and he is going to take a class victory in the Premier class. Very well done to Joe. Played it to perfection. And just in the background, we'll be able to see this man, Russell Jakes. Everything went his way in this final round of the season. He worked hard to get here, and he will take the Evo Class Championship in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. It's flying formation behind for Quad Dash, but Russell Jakes is the Evo Class Champion. Commiserations to Rob Mackay. A great drive from him. John Ludbrook completes the podium, but Russell Jakes is champion. Brilliant, brilliant stuff.
Very impressive race so far, but Russell Jakes, after a great season so far, really managed to cap it off, didn't he, with the class victory to take the Evo Class Championship. And, well, it was certainly a stressful one for him. I think, obviously, the result of the first race really helped him out, it's fair to say. It was that little moment from Scott Kostrick, I believe, that had just on that final lap running a little bit wide, and the butterfly effect that could have potentially changed the outcome of the championship for him. But at the end of the day, it did treat us to a wonderful battle between both Russell and Rob right at the end of the season, that final race. You just couldn't write that script, could you?
No, absolutely not. It was brilliant, brilliant stuff all the way through. There's Gianni Terhar, the Premier Class champion of Season 4. And let's not forget Luc Lucchese as well, the Elite Class champion at the end of the season. There's some donuts and burnouts and all sorts going on here. And what a great, great championship this has been a part of, or it's been great to be a part of, I should say, Ed. Massive enjoyment from day one. We really did wonder what on earth we'd got ourselves into with the first race because of all the new liveries and drivers and so many people. But wow, what a great season. GT3 cars on the channel for the first time as well here on Chaz Draycott Media. And we've got to do it all again in Season 5.
Yeah, we do, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a real treat because this season has been very impressive, as there's some donuts going on the front straight, and I'm not sure who it was, but they looked like they had a little bit of a coming together potentially. But I'm certain we'll see some more donuts from our new champion, Russell Jakes, when he gets there.
It's Hussein Sarakadesla and I think Stephen Donnelly that were doing the donuts on the start-finish straight. The guy's just enjoying the fact that it's the last day of school, so to speak. So Ryan Ottens takes the win, 1.5 seconds clear of Luc Lucchese, the 2024 Season 4 champion. Yanis Albert finishes on the podium yet again. Paul Cowlishaw finishes in 4th, ahead of Thomas Pugh in 5th place. Tristan Dino Brager eventually 6th after being in the wars, just ahead of Jean Breitenbach. Christophe Demay and Jan Stitchbury unfortunately did not finish or start the race, respectively. Ed, why don't you take it away with Premier Class, my friend?
Thank you very much, Chaz. And yes, it was, in the end, a very measured drive by Joe Glass, who took the race victory by over 6 seconds again. It's the two Joes that are once again close together, and I can see once more the two Jameses are close together. We'll see where they came later on, but there we go. Joe Glass ahead of Joe Spara. And then it was Gianni Teha. Again, another podium for him. His Quad Dash Racing teammate once more finishes just in behind him in 4th place. And then the two Jameses, once more it's James Bostock just ahead of James Rankin. Once more those two very close together again on the track, finishing 5th and 6th. Robin Aston there in 7th, ahead of Stephen Donnelly, with Simon Cheshire in 9th, and Scott Kostrick, who rounds out the top 10. Hussein Sarakar Desler finishes in 11th, with Jack Wyborn there in 12th, rounding out the Premier Class.
Thank you very much, Ed, and that is how it went in the end in the Evo class. Russell Jakes takes the win of the race and the championship. Rob Mackay kept him busy till the very end, and John Ludbrook gets, I believe, his 4th podium on the bounce. So a great effort from John towards the end of the season. Did everything he needed to do as well to secure, I believe, he actually got 3rd in the championship as well. So that is top 3 in the championship, top 3 in each of the races tonight. So great effort by those guys. Next up was Gareth Newton, ahead of Graham Matthew, who completes the top 5. Then it was Wesley Van Rens in 6th place and Danny Weir in 7th. Sean Clark was the last car on the lead lap, while Chris Keenan and Ashley Brooks were 1 lap down. Alex Boniface and Alex Gunratz, unfortunately, not finishing the race. So then, let's see which of the rabble want to speak to us tonight. It is going to be a bit of a longer broadcast. It always is at the end of the season, because we have 738,412 interviews to do. And what I want to do is bring in, first off, 1st place. Ryan Ottens joins us in the box. Ryan, your first win in the season, and to do it right at the end of the season, I was saying before, it's got to be such a confidence boost for you to come back for season 5, surely. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, Chaz. Yeah, stoked on my first win, I must be honest. It's I've been pushing hard for it, and I'm happy to have it. It might be the last one, but last of the season, but hopefully not my last win.
Absolutely. Well, we were saying at the top of the broadcast that you'd been threatening the guys right near the front all season. You know, every time we saw you on track, you know, you were challenging them straight off the bat. It must have been pretty tough, though. It looked like a lot of hard work just to sort of stay with these guys, because they're scary consistent, aren't they?
Yeah, man. These RDSA boys and Giannis, I mean, everyone's really strong. I mean, I just don't have it for them in quali pace. Race pace, I seem to be closer than my quali pace, but yeah, the guys are consistent, the guys are quick, so it's a really good league, and the level is very high, so well done to everyone, man. It's been great. Well,
that's what was going to be my next question, actually. Have you enjoyed yourself in the championship? Because it's been a very diverse season when it comes to the circuits as well, hasn't it? There's been no sort of let up in changing from one track to the next. They've all had a lot of different characteristics about them.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's what makes it so sort of fun and challenging. You know, it's boring to do the same thing over and over. Here we are definitely kept on our toes, and the reverse grids are scary and fun at the same time, so it keeps everyone awake, and it's good fun. My first and a half season here, and I've signed up for next season, so I'll see you boys there.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to it, Ryan. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
No, I mean, just to my team, Alpha One. The boys always back me, so thanks to them, and specifically Luke Lukeji as well. He's given me a lot of tips. I come from an ACC background, and iRacing's new to me, so he's helped speed that process up to get me closer to the front. So yeah, just a big thanks to him.
Well, you've done a smashing job of it, Ryan, and very well done on that first win tonight. We look forward to seeing you in Season 5. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the streams. Always good, and we'll see you next season.
Thanks very much. See you soon, mate.
Cheers.
Well, Ryan Ottens takes his first win of the campaign there, Ed, right at the end. Like I say, great confidence boost for next season, and a lovely bloke as well.
Yeah, very, very nice. It's always good to hear from the drivers. Even I think that might be the first time we've actually spoke to Ryan Ottens in the commentary box, but it is great to hear from him. Obviously, very, very excited after his first race victory, and almost certainly not going to be the last.
No, absolutely not. And we'll speak to another driver that will be very happy with a race victory in his class today as well. Joe Glass joins us in the box. Joe, you must be over the moon, mate. That was a long time coming, that one. A lot of hard work around there tonight to get that.
It was, mate, and I'm just glad to have got one under my belt before the end of the season. Having won the championship last year, I was a bit, well, you could say desperate to get a win, and surprisingly it came tonight.
Surprisingly in the way that you weren't a fan of the circuit, or weren't sure that tonight was going to be the easiest way of getting to it?
Well, the first hurdle is always beating Gianni, regardless of
Yeah.
views on the track or practice. I didn't get too many laps under my belt. I kind of joined practice late. I was a bit rushed. I just thought I'll go with it. I ended up starting in quite a good position. I battled Tristan Engelstadt the whole way through the first race, which was really entertaining, and we kept it away from each other, which is nice. And then once I got the jump at the start of the second race and I could see the gap opening up with Russ dropping behind a little bit, I just knew that I needed to manage, and in the end I've got through without any problems.
Well, that's a good day at the office in my eyes, Joe, and like I say, great to get that victory. How's your season felt from your perspective? Because it's been a bit tough at points, hasn't it? But it's part of what sort of character builds in a championship like this, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's, I don't know, ebbed and flowed, I guess. I've missed the most rounds in a season that I've done, I think, ever in sim racing. I've had a few poor results, more so. I mean, last season was different, but this season definitely more competitive, but I was still falling out of my preferred places. You know, for me, if I can be in the top 5 or on the podium, that's great, but
yeah,
I was chasing that P1 all season, and it's come at the right time. Moving up into Elite next year, which will obviously be another competitive class. I'm glad when the wins will be limited, if any, next season. I'm glad to have got one under the belt.
Well, it's been great to watch you this season, Joe, when you've been on the grid, mate, and of course we look forward to seeing you again in Season 5. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick thanks to while we've got you?
Just everyone that everyone who I'm now speaking to will know who they are. There's a group of lads, and Matt, my teammate, and whatnot. We've had a different season, obviously, having won the team's championship last season. It didn't quite go that way this year, but we just had a good time. It was my first season racing in VR as well, so I enjoyed that from a different perspective. I was kind of taking it slightly, I took it more serious last season, but I thought, this year I'll have a bit of fun in VR. If things go wrong, so be it.
Yeah.
But no, it's been great, and you guys have leveled us up, I guess, and brought a very good standard to the broadcast, so they've always been good to watch back. So all in all, a good season, but I think the changes to the classes and the changes to the rules that we have next season should put on a much better show.
Well, we certainly look forward to it, Joe, and thank you very much for your kind words, mate. We look forward to speaking to you hopefully next season. Have a good one.
We will. Thank you, guys. See ya.
Cheers. Joe Glass then, like he said, actually won the Premier Class Championship last season. There's always a lot of pressure on you, isn't there, Ed, when you come into a championship as a reigning champion of a certain class to really perform for the next time round.
Yeah, you've got obviously the weight of expectation on your shoulders that you need to try and live up to, and it does seemingly weigh on some drivers more than others, but it really didn't seem to affect Joe Glass at all there tonight, did it? He had a great turn of things, and obviously getting the race victory. Certainly no small feat, like you mentioned, when you've got the likes of GT3 to try and get the better of.
Absolutely, and speaking of getting the better of, the man that eventually got the better of the whole field with his title, Luke Lucchese, joins us in the box. Luke, first off, congratulations, mate. You must be over the moon. Not obviously the way that you would have wanted it to be, I'm sure. You would have wanted it to be head-to-head with Troy, but still, you are champion of the Elite class, mate. You must be over the moon.
Yes, I am. I'm very, very happy. It is a pity that Troy couldn't make it, but yeah, he's in the middle of school exam, so yeah, he has to study, and he's only 17.
You what?
He's 17, Troy.
What? No way.
So he's studying for exam.
Oh,
yeah.
Mate, that's. I mean, no disrespect, Luke, but like we know how quick Troy is, and we think, wow, flipping it, look at this boy. But Jesus Christ, like. That just makes me feel old for one, but that's just terrifying. Still, you beat him, stuff him. You must be over the moon, Luke, with how the season's gone, though, because you guys came into the championship really just looking for a good time and to have some great racing, and the results have come your way as well.
Yeah, look, I think in the beginning of the season, Troy had a pace advantage, which we had to try and find. But I think once I found sort of my form, then I could actually take the fight to him, and then I think it started getting quite interesting, the championship. So it would have been nice if he was here. We could have fought, to the last race. But yeah, it is what it is.
Absolutely.
To have won.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the result coming your way in the championship itself as well, rather than just individual races. But what have you made of the season as a whole? Because it's been great fun from where we've been. It's just been constant action everywhere.
Yeah, I know it has been very, very exciting. I think the reverse grids have actually made it very exciting because you have to really try and be careful not to get into incidents and try and get consistently good results. We had a few mishaps early on in the season, but yeah, that's where the drop rounds come in.
Well, it's been
But overall, yeah, it's been a good fight whole season.
Absolutely, I was sort of going to say the fighting's been mega. We still went into a lot of rounds not knowing who was going to be at the front and who was going to prevail, especially in the second races. So you kept it exciting for us. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you go?
Just to my folks, they're over in the States at the moment and they are watching the stream at the moment.
Oh,
so
mega!
Shout out to them. They always watch my streams. So shout out to them. Obviously my teammates Troy and Tristan. All our sponsors, Sparko, Racebook Media, RDSA, and just the team in general. So for all the support.
Lovely stuff. Well, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure, Luke, to speak to you. Well done again on the championship, mate, and we look forward to speaking to you again in Season 5. Have a good one.
Thanks, you two guys. Cheers.
Well, there we go. Elite Class champion Luke Lucchese. We move very quickly on, though, to the Premier Class champion, Gianni Tejar. The gloves are off a little bit more tonight, Gianni, but it looked like you enjoyed yourself out there. You had some fantastic battles going on.
Yeah, the first race went pretty well. Luckily P1 again, and nice battle with Tristan and Joe. Second race, it was good that I don't think you don't hear it or comms because I had to be crazy. Yeah, we had the strategy that in the beginning we noticed that all the elite guys were behind us and Joe managed to get in front of the Evo guys, so we decided to let's go pit a bit early this time, see if we can have a free space and get some places up. But yeah, unfortunately we got behind some people and then after we luckily get behind the champion Evo battle, so at that point you didn't want to ruin their battle because we were not fighting for anything, and then they were fighting really hard and then it was impossible to overtake even if you were closely to hitting them, even if you were scared as hell for that. But it was a nice season in general, but
I was going to say it's great to hear your perspective on the Evo battle as well, because we were saying on the broadcast that we knew that you guys would be aware what they were fighting for, that your own championship was sorted out. So we did wonder whether you'd go for the move or just go for a really low risk move, and it seemed like there were a few moments where just the sort of on paper pace difference made it quite difficult, actually, didn't it?
Yeah, the thing was the only safe option to overtake was on the straight, but at that point the slipstream of the Porsche was not ideal. I think Rob went a lot of times very defensive, and at that point it's like, do you want to risk it to overtake them but with a high risk to crash into them? So we could have done it to try maybe attack Joe in the end because the pace was there, but like you said, there was nothing to win for us anymore, nothing to lose, and at this point we decided to just stay behind them, even if it was very annoying at the point.
Well, you've been a real character to watch this season, Gianni, and obviously coming away from it as the Premier Class champion, very, very well done. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while you're on the stream?
I think everyone in the league deserves a massive shout out. It was some great racing with everyone. The broadcasters of you did an amazing job. I've never experienced such a great broadcasting at this moment.
Thank you so much.
Of course, the management team as well did a great job in making it a great league, and already looking forward to next season.
Absolutely. Well, it's right around the corner, Gianni, and we look forward to speaking to you again then, mate. Thank you very much for joining us this season. Well done, and we will see you in Season 5.
Thank you very much, and again, see you next time.
There we go, Gianni Tejar, bless him. An absolute star, Ed, and a real character. Great to speak to.
Really, really wonderful to speak to him, really glowing as well. Assessment of the whole championship as well, isn't it? Just great to have that aspect of the community really coming to the forefront there in that interview.
Absolutely, and we'll move on now to both of our Evo class protagonists. We drag them into the box together. First off, starting with Rob Mackay. Rob, commiserations on not getting the title tonight, but it was great to see that you got that fight with Russell all the way to the flag. You know, it couldn't have been closer. It was almost scripted with the two of you on the front row. You must still have enjoyed that.
Absolutely, that was great fun all night tonight, and gotta say, massive congratulations to Russ. It was his title to lose. I needed an absolute perfect night, and for Russ to have a nightmare night, and he just did everything he needed to. He drove beautifully tonight, and it was great fun to be that close. I think that's the only race this season where we've really been on the back of one another.
I was going to say, that's one of the sort of the strange paradoxes of this season, isn't it? You've been so close all the way through the standings, but not actually close on the circuit with each other, which is really strange.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the beauty of the way ESR works and the mixed classes, open racing, which is absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it's allowed us to have a battle through pretty much the whole season. It comes down to the final race, and yeah, it's the only race where we are nose to bumper pretty much for the entire 2 rounds of the last race.
Just coming to you quickly, Russell, as well. Congratulations on the title, mate. Any words in response to Rob? Because you two have got such a great sportsmanship between the two of you. It's been lovely to see.
It's been great. It's been great all season. You know, there's been no kind of argy-bargy between us or whatever. There's been proper respect right the way through it, and you know, as Rob says tonight, that race to finish the season kind of just tops it off. You know, I think there was a tenth of a second between us in quali.
Yeah.
And first race there was 0.2 seconds between us, and then the second race I just got lucky that Gianni got past him in the last couple of laps, I think, because his pace all week on this track has been phenomenal. And I think, you know, back Monday night I was a second behind Rob's pace. I had to work really, really hard this week just to try and keep up with him. But yeah, Rob, look, the whole season it's been awesome. This season probably it's going to be one of the hardest ones to beat. I think it's just been outstanding. Just next season hopefully we'll get a bit more battling actually on track with each other. But yeah, awesome.
I was going to say, fantastic sportsmanship between the two of you boys, and obviously a great battle all season. Are we seeing both of you back for season 5 as well?
Yeah, we're both back. we're both being promoted, unfortunately. So
well, you'll have to go. You have to go and win that one now, won't you, Rob?
Oh, we're up at the Prem class. So that's going to be good fun, isn't it?
Well, we certainly look forward to it, gents, and thank you once again for joining us and for putting on such a great show. Coming back to you, Rob, any final thanks you want to give before we go?
Just a quick thanks to everyone in the DXT teams. They've been mega this season. Their encouragement is part of what's helped me push to where I've ended up, and without those guys telling me to keep a cool head during races and everything, it would have probably ended up worse. So thanks to all of those guys who had my back the whole season through.
Well, nicely said, mate. And Russell, coming to you, mate, any final words before we go?
Yeah, kind of follow on from Rob there. My team behind me, you know, constantly in my ear telling me to keep calm and, you know, keep looking forward and forget about what's coming behind. But, you know, big shout out to Medius for sponsoring and the other sponsors to the league. Massive shout out to James for running it. But Rob, big shout out to you as well, because you've kept me honest the whole season. John Ludwig's kept me honest the whole season, and ultimately had to work my ass off to stay ahead of you. So yeah, thank you.
Well, it's been beautiful to speak to you both, gentlemen. Thank you very much once again for coming in, and we look forward to seeing you in season 5.
I'm going to enjoy the break now.
Yeah, feel like 5 minutes, won't it?
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much to both of you boys. We'll speak to you very soon. Cheers.
Cheers,
guys.
Well, there we go, Ed. I tell you what, sportsmanship on sportsmanship. Lovely to speak to both of our Evo class protagonists at the same time. But that is the end of Season 4 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Russell Jakes wins in the Evo class, Gianni Terhar is champion in the Premier class, and Luke Lucchese takes the Elite class. What a fantastic season.
Absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? From start to finish, and there were some dramatic moments, it's fair to say. Some moments where we thought, oh my word, what have we gotten ourselves in for? Especially, I think there were some times in the middle of the season where the drivers sort of lost their heads a little bit, but the cool heads prevailed, and at the end of the day, the community prevailed as well. I think that was the greatest fact that we saw here tonight, is that after everything that happened over the course of the season, we saw some drivers might have had poor results, others maybe benefited from contact here and there, but at the end of the day, they all came together and gave us a brilliant end to the season and a good little look forward to what we can expect in the next one.
Absolutely, you know, it was a fantastic a fantastic display of what this championship is all about tonight. I mean, look at the shot that we've got now as they come across the line in slow motion. Such a beautiful, colourful field. One too many Porsches, but still great fun all the same. Thanks once again to the championship sponsors, Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy and AB Designs. Thanks all the drivers for putting on such an amazing show, the admins for putting up with us up here in the commentary box, and of course my co-commentator Ed May. It's been an absolute pleasure once again, and we do look forward to Season 5 now, which will be just around the corner. I believe it's, only 3 or 4 weeks away now, and then we will be right back into it once again. Thanks also to everybody in the YouTube chat as well that's kept us company this season and given us so many kind words on the broadcasts in general. We really do love the fact that you've enjoyed it and feel that the level has been raised. We are so grateful for it. DXT finally asking, by the way, who do you guys think that had the best livery of the season? I think we've predetermined this one, haven't we, Ed?
Well, no, Chaz, have we? Oh, this is difficult now, because I think I quite like the DXT Motorsports Academy cars. I think they're, for me, the best livery of the season.
That's a very political answer, considering it's them that asked the question.
Was it? There we go.
I quite like the quad dash cars. But that is all we've got time for here on Chaz Draycott Media for the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Honestly, everybody, thank you so much once again for having us. It has been an absolute joy. From the wonderful Ed May, from me, Chaz Draycott, it's goodbye, and we'll see you in Season 5. Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're 3 wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a switch to show off. Dan Gregory now, I love it. 18.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.